Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Conway, and yes, I am back. I just did some IRL stuff, went on a bit, applied a bit on some stuff, but yeah, welcome back. Like, I kinda got intense, like, was it is that a thing of vertigo? Or you feel like kinda nauseous and whatnot, but yeah. You're new, you're not subscribed, like, comment down below, yeah. Welcome back to Conway. Last we left off, Pierce is saying something. You could say that. Small tip from one sailor to another, but you should consider. How can I put it? Grease the wheels. What are you talking about? I'm not quite sure I follow, Pierce. Bribery. He's talking about bribing the mate. The corners of Pierce's lips twitch in a subtle smile. He's got it. Arthur's got a bit of a taste for a good drink, you know, and there's been many a problem which was smoothed over by wetting the old man's throat. Pause. Too much of a liking, I've heard, but you wouldn't know that from me. Mind you, I wouldn't recommend making a habit of it. The last thing you want to be is the guy who always shows up knocking on his cabin with something under his arm, you know? Others will start asking questions, and lacking any good answers, they'll make up their own reasons. You don't want to be the one who's brown-nosing the gentleman. So what? I should just walk up to him with a bottle of rum and say, "Hey, how about we forget all this shouting at me for everything business?" What? God, has your family taught you nothing? The hair like to play a game of deniability. You have to play along, act friendly like you're just there to show your appreciation for them. They can save face and say you're only grateful towards their betters and you just happen to get better treatment afterward. Right, subtle. Got it. Should we even do that? I don't think he's the kind of guy that would like appreciate that. He might absolutely throw me overboard. Paris, you're insane, my man. What is this with you, huh? Paris nods to Wolf with a knowing smile. Told you he gets it. You lean against the yard, arms crossed, catching your breath. But I'm a sailor like everyone else. How am I supposed to get my paws on it if it's all rationed out? I don't know if you two have looked around lately, but a visit to the nearest alehouse isn't in the cards. Get creative. Make friends who might be able to arrange it. Bandle's not one to give out more than he's allowed to, but if you're in his good graces, he might let you accumulate if you practice abstinence. Or, if that's not your style, just gamble or barter. I know that a lot of the crew have their own little stash for desperate times, and I'm sure some would be willing to part with it for the right offer. You wouldn't happen to include yourself in that, would you? He laughs for a moment and gestures for her to continue her task. Quick one, aren't you? Not officially, no. And would you be willing to part with some of your non-existent fallback? Not that I'd consider bribing the first mate, of course, but it's good to know the crew's customs, and if you say that sometimes giving someone a gift is a good way to start over. Who am I to break tradition? You really feel awkward having laid it on so thick, but Pierce doesn't appear to mind and his smile remains. Naturally? If you really want, we can talk about it later, when we're dry and my hand isn't killing me anymore. Some time passes before you secure the sail in its close, reef position. As before, he assists you by holding you in the sail steady against the heeling motion of the ship. And assistance was thoroughly needed by this point. The wind and rain intensifies. The ship now continues to navigate under the thick clouds. Gone are the sunny days and fair winds. Instead, just a few days in, and you're battling the forces of nature. And you begin to realize the limits of your abilities as you struggle to secure the sail, even with the help of Wolf and Pivs. When you're done, the yard is decorated with a few claw marks of yours etched into it for posterity, although by the looks of it, they're in good company. Pierce descends with the rest of the crew, but you choose to wait until the bulk of the crew had descended and the shrouds are less crowded. Conveniently, it grants you a moment to catch your breath, leaning across the yard. Are you coming? The canine asks, having just grabbed the shrouds to descend himself. In a moment, you can go ahead. You look down the deck of the ship, looking frighteningly small from this height. Fortunately, vertigo is not something you have to deal with, but the building top of the sea, the utter darkness of it right below you while the heel of the ship causes the mast to hang off to the side. One wrong move, you make sure you hold on to the yard a little tighter. Soon enough, the last sailor makes it past you from the outer edge of the yard. You help each of them along by pulling in your tail whenever they pass you. You follow them carefully, well aware of how slippery the ropes are becoming. Slippery as an eel is what I would say. With your paws back on deck, you hurry along the length of the ship, back to the mizzenmast and grab into the shrouds. Even the deck is becoming treacherous for you. The wet surface leaning off to the side and the swell of the waves rocking the ship strongly enough to threaten your balance. Going up is quickly becoming dangerous in these conditions, especially for you as someone who doesn't have the wealth of experience of the other sailors. You hesitate and watch the others at first, wondering if you should follow them or not. I'm ballsy. You firm up your grip on that. Wait, go back a little. Let's save this. Let's save this a little bit. Climb up or nay. Okay. We're climbing up. You firm grip on the line, ready to send after the other members of the crew. You caused this mess. It's only right that you help them right it. Or how will you look when they return and you're the one who sat out the worst of it? You can already imagine the look you'd be getting. With a pull of both your arms, you swing your left leg into the gunwale, and just then a voice interrupts you. You are going where exactly? Arthur doesn't address you by name, but since you've been the target of his ire, or, so often the past few days, you immediately snap in his direction. Going to reef the sails as ordered, sir. He shakes his head and approaches the gunwale, laying his palm on it. You will stay. The conditions are getting too treacherous. But sir, I don't want to be the one who both caused this mess and then sits idly by while the others clean it up. Besides, I'm one of the crew of this ship, just like them. I shouldn't be exempt from the jobs they're doing. Isn't that what you want? Ooh, we're picking a fight, eh? For me to prove myself. Oh my god, to prove that I'm cut out for this and not just someone who screws up everything I lay my hands on. He considers her case in a lingering silence. Man, this is fucking awkward, brother. Raindrops pelting his head as he looks at you. Your case does not appear to convince him, however, and he gives a quick nod back down to the deck of the ship. Get back down. That's an order. You cling to the shrouds for a moment longer before obeying his command, guiding your paws back to the firm wooden deck. I could have done it, sir. Quiet. I've seen enough of you up there to know that I'm not willing to risk it. Recruit. Not just risking you, but potentially endangering whoever would have to help you if things go awry. Sorry. Stupidity may have been the way you impress your friends back home, but it doesn't hold water in the ship, boy. Yikes. To add insult to injury, you notice that both Julian and Wolf are up there with the rest, by now bathed in the first rays of faint purple and orange as the sun creeps over the horizon. Sir? You notice his eyes find you even though he keeps facing up the mast. Yes? No, don't apologize. I want to apologize. I messed up. Only now does he turn to face you fully. That you did. Well, I was tired and exhausted and frustrated and just... Nah, man, we can't say excuses here. We gotta just own it up that, yeah, we fucked up, Yeah. You falter and struggle to find the right words. It's all just frustrating. Frustration that you wish Arthur would just get. That he would simply understand and consider your point of view of the situation for even just one moment. There's no excuse for it. He responds firmly, the intensity returning to his eyes as he listens to her excuses. You had your duties and you didn't see them through. It's not even that you simply did not fulfill them to complete satisfaction. No, you completely disregarded them. You completely disregarded my orders. The good of the ship. The lives of the crew. Not only for mine, but for your own sake. I hope that nothing happens. It's not the burden even you should be forced to carry. He reaches for the... He reaches for the cuff of his jacket, now so wet that it sticks to his wrist, and undoes one of the buttons to loosen it. He's gonna whoop it. Oh no, before he addresses you again, he raises his voice and shouts a command to the crew working with the mizzenmast, lowering his voice again afterward. Mr. Kelly? Yes, sir? Do you know where our next port of call will be? Mogador in Morocco, sir. Why? He looks down and turns to you. Do you know much about Morocco, Mr. Kelly? I do not, sir. A country rather unlike the one you grew up in. Some of our crew call it their home. A rather beautiful country, if I may say so. I'm not sure I follow, sir. I was your age once, a young landsman trying to make an impression. For a moment, it almost seems as if he is opening up to you. His voice softens as he begins to reminisce, but after only a moment or two, you notice a subtle twitch in his features, and just like that, the usual firmness returns. I made mistakes too. But there's a stark difference between a young recruit trying to learn the ropes and someone like you. Someone who, for whatever reason, always finds himself at the center of trouble. I didn't write the fucking plot. He crosses his arms, one finger drumming a steady rhythm against the bulk of his other forearm. I've been keeping an eye on you. Not only by myself, but I've asked the crew how you're performing as well. What they might observe you doing during your days. Oh god. It's like, reminds me of my internship back in the day, my man. Just a year ago, actually. You seize a moment left by a pause of his and let your own words step in. Sir, with all due respect, but that is exactly why I've been struggling. I've been run ragged by. You lean in to defend yourself, but are immediately ignored by Arthur as he dismisses you with a simple closing of his eyes. You've been given every opportunity. No, you've been given more than that. But today you've crossed the line, boy. I can no longer allow you to endanger the rest of my crew. I will make the necessary arrangement with the captain, and as soon as we reach Morocco, you will be let go. Your eyes widen at his words, and the wide open sea feels as if it contracts around you for several seconds. There's nothing but the indistinct noise that is the pouring rain, the wind, and the churn of the sea. He seems to gauge your reaction for a moment before turning his gaze back up to the rest of the crew. What? The port is well connected to your homeland. Within a month, you should find passage to a port near your home. You can't be serious! Do I look like I'm in the mood for jokes? He does not. With firm features and now appearing in authority soaked like yourself, the rainwater clings to his hair and tail, transforming them from their usual wind-blown lightness to bedraggled disarray. You can't seriously be thinking of just leaving me in some godforsaken harbor. Fueled by desperation, you step forward and seize him by the cuff of his jacket to try and get his attention. Listen to me, damn it! Your grip tightens and you feel the fabric strain between your fingers. Yo, this is some drama going on. All this time I've been scrutinized like some petty criminal. Oh yeah, look, oh wow, the filter's gone, look at that. Tell him James. Tell him 30 on 30. Tell him what's it really like. He gives you the desired attention, however, the cost of pulling his cuff from your grasp. You blame me for everything. The crane incident, Samuel's mishap, spilled food, illnesses, damaged planks. You animatedly count the litany of perceived offenses on your fingers. How is anyone supposed to work under these circumstances when every single move I make is questioned? Everyone on the ship tells me what a great first mate you are, but I've yet to see why. All I've seen is someone who, for whatever reason, cannot see even a shred of reason. I'm supposed to become an able sailor? That's what I've been told. Be a good sailor, that's what he wants. And that's exactly what I've been striving for. Oh my god, it's really going red here. I've been up for every watch of mine since day one. Assisted others whenever asked, learned the ropes as fast as I can, all while under the constant threat of punishment for the slightest misstep. What do you want? Tell me! Oh, what the hell do I have to do? Sir? Well, if there's anything that can change my mind, you have about 2 more days to figure it out, I reckon. If you'd excuse me, I must report to the captain. He shouts one last set of instructions up into the mast to keep the crew busy in his absence before he turns away from you and leaves you alone on the windswept deck. You look as he, just as everyone else, grapples with the heel and motion of the ship, his silhouette blurred by the rain. And just like that, that's all you're left with. Morocco. And the end of your journey. Is that an ending? Pause. We're gonna go back. Real quick. You should go. That much you are sure, but your instincts scream at you not to. As you watch the tip of the mast, your grip softens. Good choice, lad. Oh, okay. Alright. Wow. We should have stayed safe on deck. You should go. That much you are sure, but your instincts scream at you not to. Alright, quick cut everyone. Wow, that was insane. So that was, I kind of knew that was the correct choice. James Kelly, or character revealing, he reminds me of me. I fucked up once. No, I fucked up a lot of times during my internship. Sometimes you think, oh, I gotta prove myself, I gotta redeem myself, right? Yeah, sure, but not on the current fuck up. Let's say the people that are working, your seniors are already fixing that fuck up. You can't really add more to like help, that's that. Yeah. So I think it's a bit of like A lot of people say, a lot of people who like, you gotta go in there, you gotta be Mr. Aggressive over there, you know, like, I can do this, I can do that, go. Yeah, go for it. But you can try it, then, you know, you can tell someone that with your senior or superior, like, oh, I don't know how to do this, I can't do this. Am I missing something here? I think I'm missing a step. You know, yada yada yada. Because you think you already got it down. But no. Better make sure rather than regret it later, right? Like me. What an awkward fucking second week of my internship. But that's life. Yeah. Okay, so this is our welcome back. This is the path. I think, yeah, this is the other path. Let's go. Still facing up to the sky, you watch the crew ascend one after another to the mizzen top and the yards of the sails. Good choice, lad. You startle and immediately snap in the direction of Arthur's voice. His tone remains calm, but having been the target of his ire for these past days, keeps you on edge whenever you hear his voice. You allow your eyes to wander upward again, watching the others work the sails. By now, the sun bathes them in the first rays of faint purple and orange as it creeps over the horizon. Though seeing both the wolf and Julian up amongst them stings. Knowing your limits is a valuable skill to have, he says, his head tipped back to watch his crew up high just like you. Thank you, sir? But it doesn't ease the feeling that I should be up there with them. It does, however, ease the tension I would feel just waiting for one of them having to rescue you. As if on cue, a particularly strong wave catches the ship, causing it to heel. He gripped the gunwale, watching his other side of the deck is momentarily doused in spray from the wave breaking against the hull. Sir? You notice his eyes find you even though he keeps facing up with a mask. Yes? I want to apologize. Oh no, I messed up. Okay, that you did. Alright, he said that already, yada yada. I'm not reading this. This is the same thing. I'm telling you right now. It's the same word for it. There's an excuse for it. Yep. Okay, disregard him. It's the same thing. Discard a good of the ship. The lives of the crew. Not only for mine, but for her own sake, I hope that nothing happens. Okay, what does he say next? Does he not say he's gonna leave me in Morocco or some shit? Mr. Kelly? Yes, sir? Oh no, he's gonna say the same shit. Look at this. He looks down. He's gonna leave me as well there. Okay. Alright, let's see. Yada yada, I made mistakes too, but there's a stark difference between a young recruit to learn the ropes. Come on, man. I know my limits. Oh my god, guys, I'm gonna... Oh, this guy is pissing me off. I've been keeping an... Shut up. Okay, James is mad again, and we're back. 2 days, that's all. 2 more days, and then what? Swallow your frustrations. Yeah, all the things you could do. Curse, yell, lash out in any other form, you do none of them. My god, this guy is gonna break, my man. Instead, you take a breath, open your eyes. It wouldn't change anything anyway, so why waste the effort? You recall how you stood on deck watching Arthur walk away, remembering the feeling in your chest. Now a somber scene to you. The manifestation of your dreams slipping through your fingers, left in some foreign harbor. If only you'd never had this stupid idea in the first place. Sailor. Adventure. You watch the crew trickle in once they finish setting the sails. Each of them looking about as miserable as you, thoroughly soaked, their clothes clinging to them and their fur hanging limp and sodden from their bodies. It doesn't take long before the whole air is one big puddle spreading steadily across the deck. As if this ship didn't smell bad enough already. Some crew members immediately stripped off their shirts, while others prefer to at least try and wring out the water that is soaked into their clothes. Boots are emptied if there were any, and furs and hair are tidied. The lanterns are rekindled as the sun struggles to illuminate the outside world, let alone the interior, through the heavy cloud cover. You think you can hear snippets of conversation among them, discussing the sudden change in weather or how they were rudely awakened just as they had fallen asleep. It's hard not to be weighed down by every comment. Even though nothing happened, you still cause all of their discomfort. You force them in a position where they had to put themselves in danger. All of them. Sam was the first to make it down the stairs, followed by Wolf, Torres, Julian, each of them going through the similar ritual trying to dry themselves as best as they can during a storm at sea. You notice the wide glint of Wolf's eyes flicking in your direction briefly. He pauses, but in the end moves to another part of the deck. As time progresses, the crowd gradually disperses, each individual turns their attention back to their task, or takes a moment to recover from the exhausting ordeal of hastily reefing the sails. What was once a loud and noisy tumble of the sudden call for all hands on deck returns to a more familiar jumble of noises. The pattern of rain and footsteps resonate through the planks above. Heavy waves crash against the hull, providing a droning soundscape to allow you time to sink into your thoughts. What the hell are you going to do? Here you are. Pierce's nimble steps accompany his words as he approaches the table, gripping the rope that secures the table to the overhead planks. He takes a moment to wipe some of the accumulating water from his brows. I wanted to tell you that you did alright out there. Alright, welcome back, Sandra. Bark again. One's first time in bad weather is always a test for the nerves, but you did alright. I didn't see you in the mizzen. Did you sit that one out? You let your weight rest against the ship's hull and respond with a silent nod. Probably for the best. Things got quite rough towards the end, and Arthur probably wouldn't have appreciated seeing you up there if you weren't feeling up to it. I doubt he actually cares. He's a stickler for safety. I was bedridden and couldn't escape his lecture, so yes, he would absolutely care if he did that. He told me the same, but as he told you, he doesn't view me kindly. So I doubt he was being truthful. Probably only cares for a clean sheet for his and the ship's record, just like Wolf said. Pierce shrugs and takes a seat on the bench opposite you, checking the mug left on the table for any remaining drink. Finding none, he simply rests his arms on the table. Same thing, innit? But I wasn't joking when I mentioned you might try to sway him with a little liquid encouragement. You wouldn't be the first, won't be the last. Summoning at least a little strength, you push yourself up from your slumped position and sit upright. Maybe it is worth trying. Might be your only opportunity to salvage the situation and improve your chances of keeping your place on the ship. And you mentioned you had some I could use? He raises his paw, halting you at the end of your sentence. Sure do, but remember, nothing in life comes free. So I'd be right back where I started. Instead of lacking a bottle of rum, I'd be lacking the means to pay you. Unless you fancy the promise of bags of potatoes and wheat once my hometown is our next port of call once again. That I can provide. The corners of his mouth twitch down in a frown. Nah, I get enough of that here. I gladly accept your pay to cover it, perhaps some good clothes, jewelry, musical instruments, anything that can be turned to a coin at the next harbor. Based on your attire, you seem well off enough to own something worth trading. Hardly. My family are farmers. Farmers don't look like the clothes of a farmer's boy. Sunday's best, Pierce. On a ship? I wanted to make a good first impression. On a ship. He stares at you dumbfounded and you respond with a nonchalant shrug. Oh boy. Oh well, if you want to make use of these before they inevitably get ruined? If you want to make use of these before they inevitably get ruined, I'll happily take them off your hands. Now it's your turn to look at him, seemingly surprised, and lift up the collar of your white shirt. These? He nods. I didn't bring much with me, to be honest. I don't know if I can spare these. The frown returns to his face as the negotiations between you drag on. Either way, you have time to think of something. Just let me know if you come across anything that might be worth it. He rises from the bench and makes his way to the other side of the deck. You're left with your own thoughts once again in the decisions on how to proceed. Arthur wants you off the ship in Morocco. Is it really worth the effort to try and convince him otherwise? You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. What I'm going to do. Fuck it, get me out of the ship. Get me out of the ship, Mike. 2 days in Morocco, I could find a better ship, a better sail, and a better first mate. Staying below deck for a moment longer was too much. They all just went along like nothing happened, and well, for most of them nothing did happen. But that was their point. This was hardly the camaraderie you dreamed of finding. Each moment of indifference stung. What a fool you'd been. The sour turn of that dream felt real enough to make you curl your tone, but there weren't really words for what you wanted to say. Okay, so you grind your teeth and clench your fists. You just wanted some space. Storm be damned. It wasn't like the ship rolled about that damn much. Wait, what the fuck? It wasn't like the ship rolled about that much anymore. Surely this wasn't much for a seasoned sailor. You climb through the bows of the ship, ignoring the flickers of activity that in turn ignore you. Glimpses of fur in various sodden states, the roll of dice, the cackles of bets made and won and lost. No one cares to stop you. You grab the hatch overhead and give it a satisfying shove, only to be greeted by a wall of rain pelting your face. But it is quiet out there. Wonderful. You slip out and close the hatch behind you. It's still dark out here, barely a ray of sunshine breaking through the thick, heavy clouds that streak across the sky. Your paws are immediately wet as a comfortably warm water runs over the deck. Here and there, the rain collects across the deck in a number of shifting pools, reflecting what little daylight pierces the clouds. For a moment, you just stand there, lost in the silence, the roar from the storm and sea. No voices, no other sounds or other scents, just you and your thoughts. The rain keeps melting your body. In but a minute, you're soaked to the core, causing your fur to sag and fall over your eyes. Occasionally, the world blurs as a big drop of water falls in front of them, but you don't mind. You watch masts shift above you as you balance yourself on the rolling deck while the ship pitches between the waves. Only a small portion of the sails remain in place, pulled tight by the wind and dragging the ship through the storm. You take one step forward, then another, finding a delicate balance as you feel your way through the pitch and roll the ceaseless waves. It's more your instinctual feline grace than any seafaring skill, but it feels like a reminder. It's more your instinctual feeling, or what the fuck, feline grace than any seafaring skill, but it feels like a reminder of what perhaps could have happened, if only it turned out differently. Still, what's done is done. You just move with the sway, going nowhere in particular, just following the movements of the storm and the ocean beneath you. You'd heard sometimes that there was solace to be found in surrendering to things much larger than yourself, and perhaps the ocean at least would offer such cryptic comfort. You walk past the main mast, letting your hand run along the waterlogged lines secured at its base, all neatly tied and put together with such practiced precision. Could you have done that so quickly and without a second thought? As you move around the front of the secured jolly boat, a hint of white linen catches your attention. Was it hastily cached sail? The idea that someone could have been so sloppy with their sheet work and not have gotten chewed out burned at the back of your throat. You lean down and look under the upturned boat, and come face to face with Wolf, dripping black fur, snarl and all. What the hell are you doing here? He calmed down quickly, eyes flicking between invisible points as he concluded that you probably weren't here to cause him trouble. Resting. Out here? In a storm? You want to laugh, but you do a fine job holding back any hint of derision. Not that Wolf would tolerate you doing so anyway. He looks at you as if you're the odd one. Even with the boat as a cover, he's dripping wet just the same, with nowhere to escape the spray of the waves as they slosh about between the deck and the gunway. It was pleasantly quiet until just now. Of course. Perhaps his company would be just the right thing right now. The thought of being cooped up under the boat isn't looking so bad. Certainly better than taking the full force of the storm. At least it beat me heading back inside and facing the others' questions. But mind if I join? I'll shut up too. You quickly add the second part as soon as you notice his features to sharpen slightly into a grimace. Even with your peace offering, it still takes a few seconds before he allows you to join. His ascent is barely even perceptible among the whistle and spray of the storm. You duck under the gunwale of the overturned boat and scoot underneath it. The wooden frame it's attached to isn't exactly comfortable to lean against, and you feel a nail prodding your lower back, but you make do. For minutes, the two of you just sit there. Not a single word exchanged. Just huddled up underneath the boat, almost lost among the sea. Wow, this is quite... In the mix of the chaotic sea, it being unfair to everybody is what gives this man comfort, I guess. The impact of every single raindrop resonates through the wooden dome above you, isolated in a way but not entirely removed from it all. All your senses are flooded with the sensations of the weather. The sting of salt water in your eyes, the smell of it too, muddled with the freshwater scent of the rain, the faint smell of the pitch and tar waterproofing the boat's hull, and of course the strong smell of wet fur, yourself and the wolf. You stretch out, man, that's gonna be a powerful stench. I wouldn't say it's bad. Like, if any one of you that's watching that has ever had a pet, it be a bird, a freaking dog, or a cat, or whatever, anything that has some kind of fur or feather. Once they get wet, you know, there's a smell emanating from them. It's like grass, I guess. When you freshly cut grass, or when it rains, that's actually grass bussing out pheromones or whatever, a scent to warn someone or to tell someone, hey, it's raining or something, or we're being cut down by some fucking metal beast. Either way, going back to the thing, stretch out one of your legs briefly before hurriedly deciding to reverse course once you feel the rain hitting it. Why are you here? I knew it was a whisper. I was like, why is the opacity kind of lowered? And he whispers it at first and only gets your confused look in return. After all, you had promised not to disturb him further. Why are you here? The repetition makes it clear to you that yes, Wolf did actually want to talk. Oh, same as you, I suppose. Getting away from the others. Yeah. You leave it at that, still unsure whether he actually he's still looking at his cheek. Look at this guy. Look at the fucking right side. But go look the other way, my man. I thought you were more a lone wolf kind of guy. Go to the other side right now. You leave it at that, still unsure whether you actually really wanted to talk or was just trying to be kind. Considering how things had gone for you, it wasn't entirely surprising. Almost half a minute passes before he speaks up again. That doesn't sound like you. Oh god, perhaps. Then why are you here? Fuck, you're not my, what is this shit? You sigh and let the back of your head bump against the wood you're leaning against. Well, Wolf, today's been fucking awful. That's why I'm here. Again, Wolf lets aside and stretch out between the two of you. First, he flicks an ear, then he takes a short breath, biting his lip, one fang slipping free. The storm. He sniffs the air between you cautiously. At first, it feels futile, it's cold and wet. No, oh, like an actual fucking dog. They can kind of vibrate emotions. Or smell them. Like, at first, it feels futile, it's cold and wet. The salt from the spray cutting through anything else. Then in your next breath, you became acutely aware of the pungent scent of wet canine. On your next breath after that, you realize you're not in such a great position to talk. No. Awkward. Wolf dips his muzzle just once and slowly in a reserved nod. The ship. You take a deep, fortifying breath. He actually really seems to want to talk to you about it. You frown and rub your head. You said you wanted to get away from everyone. Huddled inside the boat. Rain and water. It feels like the perfect moment too. After all, if anyone was going to probably agree with what you had to say, you'd put your money on Wolf. I'm done with it all, Wolf. It was a mistake to go along with all this. And I just wish I'd realized that sooner. And Wolf raises an eyebrow. He seems to be implying that you'll do with that realization rather than trying to console you or get you to see it from someone else's point of view. You bite your lip again and nod. You can respect that at least. Wolf leans forward slightly and sniffed again, confirming his interest. Is that correct? Wait, I just moved the mic a little bit. I decided to leave. Next port, I'll be gone, Wolf. For a moment, you can't help but wonder whether he'll point out that Arthur in fact made that decision for you. Your tone should have at least made it clear enough that there was more to it. Wolf raises an eyebrow. At first, he would have been imperceptible, but perhaps it was a day spent together in the confines of a ship that meant you could now see past his stoic front. I think it's already been like a month or two, right? It took them 2 months to get there. Now there's only a couple of days, so I think he's been, yeah, somewhat at least. He's been through the ringer. It's not running away. It's your decision. Exactly. At least you're not trying to talk me out of it. Wolf slowly tilts his head like he's pointing out he barely talks anyway. But as you let the familiar silence fall comfortably between you, he actually takes a breath. I thought you were going to be like Julian when I first saw you. Loud. Chirpy. He growled softly. Annoying. He whispered. Naive. What do you mean? What's the ship for? Takes you from one place to another. They're not the place that you seek to stay. If you don't know where you're going, well, the ship takes you. Is the Cape Colony where you want to go? Wolf flicks his ears. I didn't say that. If you're not going there, aren't you just going wherever the ship takes you? I didn't say that either. Then where are you wanting to go? Wolf sighs, shaking his head. His body sways with the rhythm of the ship, but there's an extra looseness to his movement that makes you wonder whether he's rolling his head back and forth, deliberately weighing up whether to tell you. It almost looks like the ocean is trying to cajole the truth out of him. Getting away from somewhere is just as good. You probably haven't noticed it, but it's there. Tension building everywhere. On this ship, the world. like black powder flowing through an hourglass, just waiting for the spark to ignite the pile. So he's trying to get out of the chaos that's about to happen. War? What was this, 1791? Can't remember. Something, oh fuck, something like that, right? Was there a major war in the 1800s? No, what the fuck am I talking about? There was war back then, left and right. There's still war right now, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Just because I don't like to talk much doesn't mean I don't appreciate words when they're used well. It won't stop at just one revolution. Not with how things are. Are we talking about France? He doesn't answer. Perhaps the ship is the safest place after all. Anyway, poetic, yes. I suppose you'll begin to make land soon. And be done with it all, huh? Well, I thought you had made some friends at least. Be sad a little. Come on, Wolf. Even you have warmed up in your time here. We're talking here after all. Here, skeins of fate trawled together by wind and sail for a brief moment. Wow, this guy's quite poetic when he wants to, huh? Wolf shrugs, drawing attention back to the bizarre situation, huddled under a boat while the storm is blowing all around them. If I'd really warmed up, I wouldn't be out here. You're still talking to me. Don't get annoying, he grunts. You'll still regret it more than I if I were to stop talking. You take a moment to watch Wolf quietly, a huddled mass of wet black fur, something about his current situation suggesting more than just his usual reserved nature. Always a cold front, short looks and shorter words. There's no way he could keep up such a cold all the time. Wolves are pack animals, right? But you aren't exactly in the mood to try and divine whatever could be behind all that black fur. It wasn't like he'd ever tried to fit in. Still, it felt like it was worth a moment to ask his opinion. It always seemed more practical than the others and versed in the wider world too. Wolf? Do you have any advice? Woohoo! You asked, not really focusing on anything in particular. The subject was obvious. Wolf picked up on that. But with how everything had worked out, you felt like it was the only one you really wanted to hear from. He was just as green a sailor as you, but he'd managed to keep his head down. It's a bit late for that now, don't you think? I'm not talking about the ship, it's about what comes next. Get real quick, you know what your mistake here was, right? Wolf paused, staring into her eyes to make sure you understood his point. You clouded your eyes with some romantic vision of roaming the seas and only then woke up and realized how hard it comes. Maybe if you'd snap out of that, focus on the reality of what lay right in front of you, maybe you'd have made better choices. You might feel hard done by, but once you're off the ship, the ones who push you off aren't going to think a moment more about you. I mean, have you even considered for a moment what Morocco is even like? I bet you think it's like a sunny version of home. Wolf? You give him a warning hiss, taken aback by his comment. Hopefully he was just in a sour mood from the storm, but if he wanted you gone, he could just say, or stop talking. You asked for my advice? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not that naive. I know it's nothing like home, but I wasn't exactly given a choice on where I'd be stepping off now. So if you have some actually helpful advice that I can use in the future, well, I can't say I know much more than you. I know the Barbary pirates used to sail from those shores, but that's mostly died out by now, I think. Not that I think it'd be that naive to try and join up with them. Wolf smirked. Don't think anything like that is my intention for even a second. Yeah, I can smell that at least, but I'm sure there's dangerous people from all sorts there. You need to get sharp at spotting how the world is, what you need from it to get where you want to go, otherwise they'll just take advantage of you at best. I'm sure, because you should know everyone else is trying to get where they want to go to. Tough luck if you happen to be in their way. He sighs and shakes his head, the sound half like a mournful howl, almost like he'd been itching for the chance to sing for weeks on end. You can bet there'll be much harder people than Arthur that you'll have to deal with when you make land. He pauses for a moment, sniffing. I mean, do you even have a plan when you get there? Instead, you go back to focusing your surroundings. Well, that's a no, I guess. It feels like the storm might be easing, giving more of a respite even if the rain continued unabated. Wolf remains silent as he considers his question. We have some ideas, more or less fleshed out on a feeling rather than any knowledge of what might actually lie ahead. Perhaps you'd take some time to see the sights, even if it was an exile. The way Bandel had spoken about the bazaars and spice markets made your imagination coil in delight. Practically, you're sure that you could at least find another ship taking hands, apply some of what you'd learned, and keep your head down until eventually you could maybe find your way home? You weren't sure about that last bit, but the rest of it seemed sound. You still tell Wolf in small details at least, given the way he'd pricked his ears up at you in expectation, but you leave out your ambivalence about home and add the final question. Why did you come ashore too? You're doing it again, not learning, talking, not listening. Wolf growled, frustrated at repeating himself. It should be clear to you that's not something I'm considering. So you're just here for the money, right? But surely there's better paying ships there. Yeah, exactly. But you can get money from many places, I bet. From what you'd come to know Wolf, even in your 12 short days with him, it was clear he could handle himself just about anywhere. Money felt like a convenient reason. Be real with me, at least once, Wolf. The others might take that as an answer, but I don't think that you're so mercenary that you just take the coin and leave it at that. Then you've got a lot to learn still. Wolf tenses and swings his head around to face you. You're suddenly conscious how threatening he actually could be if he put his mind to it. Big enough to grab you if he wanted to. Perhaps, but I don't think I'm wrong here. At least not entirely. You're running from someone? Something? It's funny to see you trying to snatch a dart. Fine. But I know it doesn't make sense for someone supposedly so in it for the money. After all, why would you have kept the fife around rather than just selling it? I've been playing it enough since Julian's lessons, but even if I wouldn't have, that's not the point. I don't sell it because it was a gift, or do you go around sending gifts you have received? Besides, I need to have something to do around here when I'm not working, or having people annoy me with their questions. A piece of wood shoved between your lips is a good way to get people to shut up. Well, I'm as surprised as any that you let Julian touch it, never mind try and teach you. He's not as annoying when he's got his mouth shut around it making music. You still let him play it though, Wolf. Everyone's free to form their own thoughts about each other. I just don't announce them to others. I'm just saying, you wanted my advice. Wolf snarls, a warning given he showed only half his teeth. Know when to shut up, there's no way I'm going with you. You don't believe my reason, you barely listen, and you clearly don't know how to keep yourself out of trouble, even when you had someone like Samuel to try and keep you on side. It takes a moment to realize your mouth is hanging open and a moment more to shut it with a hiss. What more do you want? A hug? My shoulder to cry on? He growls again, trying to get you to snap out of it. Don't you get it? Life's fucked and unfair, and no one's going to give a toss about your tears when it comes to it. That's true. Wolf looks away, taking a deep breath. He clenches his jaw shut, the muscles on his face taut as he holds his tongue. They will see you as weak and they'll be drawn to it. Real monsters, not like anyone else on this ship. He clearly wants to say more, and from the feeling in the air between you, it isn't just about your situation at all. In all the days you've been on the ship together, he'd progressively thawed, dropping glimpses of someone on beneath it all. Wolf, I was just hoping to learn what? Learn what? It struck you that in this moment, if you touch the wrong nerve, he could easily just send you overboard. In seas like this, you'd be gone, and would anyone really question it? Arthur certainly wouldn't turn the ship around to search for you. How to survive? He shrugged, trying to describe more to the vague sense that had always surrounded Wolf. Because he certainly seemed to be better at it than me. I wasn't always. A slow, mournful sigh clawed its way up from his throat. I was a bit like you, once. Lost, a bit clueless perhaps. Certainly in need of help, and to be taught how to keep my head above water. New, learning the ropes, grappling with a life unfamiliar to me, but I learned quickly and found that to every lesson I learned there were two options. Either to accept the way of things and survive, or not. He's a survivor. His eyes light up as he reaches back through the misty past. A ghost of a smile teases at the corners of his mouth, haunting him with the memories of better times, while his eyes water. I didn't just survive after long. I found a family. They took me in, taught me how to make sense of the world. It wasn't always comfortable, but it was what we had to do, and when that became the reason why to have a full belly, it made the choice much easier. You're certain he's choosing his words carefully, speaking slowly, almost chewing each word before spitting it out. But we were happy. We had each other, and when the world gave us nothing, we took it. Wolf shakes his head, his face turning cold and icy once again. And then before we knew it, it was... You said you wanted my advice, right? He throws back his head, half laughing. Don't get attached again, kid. You're lucky to get off so easy from all of this. He flicks an ear dismissively as a distant clang of the ship's bell announces the time for the current watch. Thankfully, it wasn't yet time for you to get back to it, and so you could stick around a little longer, though perhaps sitting in the wet, exposed deck wasn't the best idea. Speaking from experience, Wolf grunts, you should try and at least make sure you get your last bit of pay before heading onward. Wolf, I'm not trying to be difficult. You reach out and grab his hand. Are you sure that you want to stay here? Why would I want to come with you? I tried giving you my advice kindly because at least you were kind to me. But that doesn't mean I'll abandon everything just for you. Whoa! Wolf, I thought. Keep telling yourself that. You'll find it's the same for the rest of the crew if you go asking. You can't eat kind words or whatever it is you think it is that you've got between each other. He grunts and shakes his head as he slips out from the jolly boat and heads off into the ship, escaping from you and the worst of the all-permeating wetness. Well, we tried, so we're going on there off the ship alone. You're left cold in contemplation, trying to figure out your next move when you hear Samuel call your name and wave you over. We're starting shortly. Why don't you head down and get your hands on the bilge pumps? That should get the rain off your fur too. You drag your paws along the rough, wet deck, letting your claws tug and catch against the planks. Wolf's words ring in your ears rather than distorted echoes of whatever Samuel was yapping on about, something about ships, sails, and storms. You don't need to know more about that to survive now. So you nod along and make the right noises, trying to at least pass as functional. It was a shame that Samuel kept trying. Surely he could direct his effort elsewhere. Or talk to you about something useful besides the ship. You set your jaw, blocking out the sounds as best as you can. Only Morocco matters. Focus on that. Seeking to not expend your energy on pointless tasks, you keep your progress across the deck slow, enough to delay the task but not enough to seem actively disobedient. Survival is always about conserving energy. Still, it's surprising that you don't feel bad about slacking either. It's not like the others were busting a gut trying to save you, and once you started pulling at that thread, it all began unraveling. That and working the bilge pumps could smother even the fiercest of flames burning with city romance about the sea. That stench. You shudder. What's the bilge pumps? I'm pretty sure that's not poop, right? They just throw their poop out in the ocean. I'm pretty sure that's how it happens, right? At least that wouldn't be your future for much longer. Your thoughts turn quickly, preoccupied more with planning once you get to shore. What do you need to do? Knowing anything about the port would be good for starters, but you try to swallow the bile rising your throat. You just need to know where to make easy coin, and if things were to even get desperate enough, stealing is easy when it's about not starving. You stop mid-step, flicking your whiskers. The moral flexibility that you just felt troubles you, but again, what choice did you have? Survival, James. You swallow and focus on the reality of the situation. Of course you'll do what you need to do. It's a no-brainer. You start moving again with renewed determination. It crosses your mind that from the way Wolf had spoken to you, he'd probably made these choices before. Perhaps you should pick him more for answers before you go. Unsupervised, you take the long way down, moving towards the stern of the ship. It's more sheltered back here. Relatively from both the orientation of the ship and by design of its steeper, sweeping sides, presumably a design attempt to shelter whatever unfortunate soul might have to hold onto the helm during a storm. You're already overshot the last stairwell down below the decks, but everyone is so preoccupied with their tasks that you take a moment to look around more. A mix of curiosity, but also a ploy to run down time a bit more. Oh my god, that's like me in my last month of internship. Burning time. Oh god! The weather has taken more of a toll here than other parts of the deck. Some patches of debris litter the gunwale, stacked behind the last jolly boat this side of the ship. Whoever is responsible for the float Sam surely deserves a lashing. Crammed behind the boat's canvas, you spot a stray oar, 2 smashed lanterns, and other nautical scraps you lack the experience to identify. No wonder Samuel was so agitated about inspecting the masts and sails. Before you leave, you spot the sharp curved beak peeking out from behind the debris. You do a double take. Was it another member of the crew? You rush forward, anxious to see that they were all right, though as much as save your own skin. Please no. If someone has been injured, you'll only suffer more for it. The thought disappears quickly as you pull away the clutters in canvas. Instead of an injured crew member, you come close to a large wild bird of prey, sheltering there from the storm. Before you have a moment to inspect it more closely, it comes to life, hissing and jabbing that powerful beak towards your face. You leap back, heart racing while the beast hisses and jabs at you, defensive, but definitely pissed off. Vicious enough to convince you to think twice about going anywhere near it. You take a moment to watch it warily, the two of you in the standoff as the rain falls around you. At a distance, you can see it's a large bird of prey, but the patterns on its feathers are meaningless to you. It seems to reluctantly accept your presence, watching you with sharp yellow eyes, and that even sharper beak and talons at the ready. You must be sheltering from the storm, but your sympathy towards it is limited. For one, it's dangerous, and 2, it'll probably somehow be your fault if someone does get hurt by it anyway. Setting your jaw, you do your best to try and shoo it off, pulling at the loose end of rope, dragging away the remaining covers. It hisses angrily and makes quite a display, but despite this, the bird doesn't fly away. You're so focused on keeping your eyes and attention to the osprey that you only dimly hear Torres approach behind you. Hey, lass, I heard the bilge wasn't up here. Oh, hey! Torres ruffles his feathers, abruptly lets out a long, shrill cry. He swoops closer, laughing and patting you on the back. Oh, that's a rare sight. He points a talon at the osprey, now hissing loudly and spreading its wings defiantly at you, trying to make itself appear even bigger. With a wingspan like that, it wasn't hard. Fucking hell. You take a step back, ending up behind Torres. What the fuck is that monster doing here? It could be injured, almost like exhausted. Torres leans closer, cocking his head from side to side. Poor lad, looks like it's been here for a while. You think? What makes you the bird expert? How can you tell? You can see the same as me, cat. Torres hisses, shaking off the obvious association that as a fellow avian, it sounds almost exactly like the beast in front of you, both. It's an absurd similarity, enough to make a laugh pull at the back of your throat. You only manage to swallow it because you think quickly enough to realize its situation with the bird is the only reason why he probably hasn't shouted at you to get back to work. Sorry, I was just startled. Understandable. Torres gives it a high, shrill whistle. It actually seems to calm down the bird down, slowly folding away its impressive wings. Poor lads was probably out fishing and got caught in the storm. You know what we had to do to prepare the ship, eh? He turns around to look at you, gesturing for you to come a little bit closer, but slowly. Sails and wings are similar in some ways. It probably got blown off course or drenched so bad it can't fly right until it gets a chance to dry out. If we weren't about, I'm sure he'd have downed. Torres gives another comforting whistle. I should tell Arthur that. You mutter, taking a deep sigh. For a moment you watch the predator. Torres meanwhile is equally as thoughtful, murmuring something soothing in Spanish between his low trills. See? He's not so bad. That doesn't make its beak any less sharp or those talons. You harem, preferring to keep your distance and hope not to open yourself up to any more cat and bird jibes. I'm sure it'll be fine if we just leave him be, a little understanding and all. Even better if we had something to feed him. He takes a step back and half turns towards you, keeping the one eye on the osprey as he searches about for some scraps. We haven't spoken much, have we? You shake your head, not exactly invested in making new connections here now. You're James, aren't you? The one that Arthur... He gives an awkward shrug, ruffling his feathers? Yeah, that one. Well, if you came to chew me out. Your defensive grunt is cut off by a quick whistle. No. I mean, I heard what happened, but I didn't really think. He sighs. Well, it's sad news. I heard, of course, that you're leaving us next port. Kind of you to put it that way, but I don't see the point in hanging around for long. No harm in that. Sailor's life isn't for everyone. Mostly pretty boring, and most don't take too kindly being all cooped up on a boat like this. You glance back at the osprey. Then why you haven't done me in for slacking off? No, well, in part. He shrugs, but everyone cuts corners where they can. Whatever, I don't know what they're thinking, giving you your marching orders. Never mind expecting to get any work out of you in the next few days. If it's even that. If the osprey is anything to go by, you expect you can't be that far off land by now. It's a shame, lad. It's a shame. Torres sighs. It's always a shame to lose a member of the crew. Don't make it sound like I died, Torres. He's the one who decided to cast me off. You shake your head. His pity isn't going to change anything. But I'm glad to be getting off this ship, away from whatever demons that horse is chasing. You do your best to swallow the angry hiss that pulls at your lips, if only really not to startle the wild beast nearby. Torres takes a breath, nodding quietly. I take it you've never been to Morocco then. Do I look like it, Torres? No, not at all. He waves his hand away from you, as if trying to make some gesture of peace. Well, it's quite the place, you should know. But to make your way around there, you've got to have the right skills, knowledge. Wait, Morocco is... Oh, no! I mean, it's okay. Is it a really nice place back then? I don't know, man. You give the foppish, Falcon a beady eye in turn, bemused that somehow he still went about preening himself in every idle moment despite the rain. You don't know how to take his comment, really. He is just trying to wind you up. You don't really know the guy. He's always been somewhere else on a different watch. Is this where you're telling me it's not so bad? If you want. You think you see the corners of his beak lift into a smile. I've only been twice. The other time beyond that doesn't count, as I stayed aboard the ship. A sailor missing shore, leave. Some folks still have to stay behind to keep an eye on things. The extra pay didn't hurt, but still. He gives a wistful whistle. The main difficulty is the language, I'd imagine, but then again, I'm not one to talk to you about that. The Falcon gives a high-pitched whistle. It's not so easy when you've got a beak, I'll say, but I've mastered a few words and you know that can be different to getting into the locals' good graces. I've always known when to say my pleases and thank yous. As if showing some grace in travels wasn't obvious. You know how to say it in their tongue though, eh? No, but I have a feeling that you will tell me. You're angry at Arthur, I get it, justifiably so, but that doesn't mean everyone else on the ship is out to get you. I'm only trying to help in what way I can. It's not like I'll be leaving the ship with you, but it's something. You grunt, wiping a bit of snot from your nose as the rain keeps pouring down. You're starting to feel the cold creep in, numbing you, but you feel that this is the least bit of hardship to come. Better toughen up now and so on. And at least all this rain helps wash out the salt crusting your fur without wasting precious fresh water. Fine, go on. You sigh, folding your arms. You're about to say sorry though. Well, I'm a Spaniard if the name and accent hadn't fooled you. But that doesn't mean I don't know my way around a little Moorish. You flick your ears about, but between the rough howl of the storm, the constant pet of rain, and the light air trill that followed the end of the falcon's every word, it was hard to catch the resemblance. Of course, my time among all you English speakers has dulled things somewhat, but I grew up close to Cadiz. It picks up on your lack of familiarity with those sharp eyes. Quite the important city, about as far as it might go. He shrugs. As a fledge, I grew up on tales of the city's greatness, home to stories about the Spanish treasure fleet and many other things. Anyway, I learned ships and the... Sorry, excuse me about that, I almost burped. Anyway, I learned ships and the like there because that was a done thing. But fortunately for you, being so close to North Africa, it wasn't uncommon that my work would involve a thing or two with your soon-to-be locals. Which is a fancy way of saying I can speak a little of the local lingo. The Rija isn't that bad. Once you get around the rules, I reckon you'll be good at it. But I don't think there's time. Oh, you misunderstand. I know only a few phrases. If you want a true native, Rajia is the only one you should be speaking to. You look around the deck, noting the lack of interest anyone was paying in you both. A few phrases wouldn't hurt. You got the time? Torres shrugs, going back to preening himself. Don't worry about it, lad. You never know, it may just impress the right people enough to keep you safe. Now listen closely and repeat after me. You nod. Alan. Go on. Alan. You try your best to mimic the sound, struggling with the entirely unfamiliar intonation. Is it Alan? No, that's a bit too English for my taste, mate. It's Alan. It's Alan. It's Alan. Is it Is there like a... I don't know, man. The falcon picks up on your negativity, shaking his head, encouraging you further. No, good, good. Try a little bit more. You give it another go, trying to sound out the unfamiliar words, but you seem to say it well enough for Torres to get in a flap, nodding encouragingly. Good, very good. What did I just say? Hello, of course. There's other ways too if you're trying to be more polite. It's Salamu Alaikum. Oh, come on, man. I know what the fuck. It starts... And Alaikum Salam, right? It starts getting a bit carried away, blurring the line between being helpful and puffing out his chest feathers and showing off. Shokran. Oh, I remember this from Stargate. Yeah, it means thank you. Shokran. Shokran. Ah, fuck. It means please. You'd be surprised how much you can get by with that. You do your best to commit the words to memory, but you can't help but wonder how accurate any of this was, given his admitted lack of expertise. You're certain Rajia would be the better teacher, but given she isn't here now, this will have to make do. A wheeling cry brings you back to the present as Osprey flaps away from you both, settling on the railings close to you. No longer hidden from view, the beast instantly attracts the other's attention, who to your surprise and irritation instantly drop whatever it is they were doing and flock around the bird, eager to get a closer view. Despite the supposed importance of their task, a few even catch sight of the spectacle from the mass above, swooping down the rigging and running across the deck without the slightest concern. In the rush is spot Samuel, Julian, and Wolf, as well as a few other familiar faces. Even the old Lynx Conrad takes a break from his repairs, walking over with a wry smile on his face. Alright, then let's see this. What happened? Oh! So what the fuck is this? Why is everyone here, huh? Some sort of order starts to form from the chaos. Samuel takes the lead, darting nimbly between the others in the race to get in front. He's there before he can even scramble down the stairs from the helm, holding everyone's attention between himself and the increasingly agitated bird. They might kill the bird and eat it. I'm not even kidding. If you thought it looked fierce before, it now looked positively vicious. Maybe we should leave it be. I don't think he'd be so happy about us harrying it if I were it. Oh, come on, Jules. Not every day you get to see something like this up close. It's an osprey. It's a big bird. Who's up for a friendly wager? Anyone? A jumbled series of replies comes back over the drum with the wind and rain, but the nods, claps, and excited flicks of tails speak clearly enough. Who bets they can get closer to the beast than me? A few contestants in the crowd raise their hands, bringing cheers and approving smacks on the back. Julian looks torn about it, while Wolf just lurks further back, his expression unreadable as usual. Samuel meanwhile has a wide smile stretched across his muzzle. Despite the rain, he's relishing the first bit of fun in days, the added dash of danger and chance to win the respect of the crew, making it all the more appealing. A sailor, how about you get it to feed from your hand? Someone shouts, tossing a fish towards the main wolf's feet. He scoops it up with a paw, grinning. Better yet, he takes the bait and places it in his muzzle, wincing slightly. Samuel, you're gonna lose your fucking eye because of this. Okay, come here to place the bets. Conrad calls out, setting himself to the side as a trusted figure to manage it all. I think a day's rum seems fair for starters. Make it 2. He says 2. Are you going to take that? He nods approvingly as a few of the other sailors agree, raising the stakes until an entire week's rum is pledged as a reward. What says our expert? Conrad chuckles, turning to Torres for his opinion. He just shrugs and points between the bird's talons and its beak. It's hard to choose which one was the most deadly, but you're certain that either would cut deep. With weapons like those, you should at least offer some coin too. You're surprised that he could endure something so reckless given your previous conversation. Why did you say something? And open myself up to the obvious jokes? Torres cocks his head to the side. Oh, come off it. They just want a better look. This fella's the most exciting thing we've seen in weeks. But someone could get really hurt. I try to swallow the feeling that if that did happen, it'll be all your fault. Somehow. And they could also fall off the rigging tomorrow or have a line snap on them. There are no fledglings anymore. They can weigh up the risk themselves. It's up to them they think it's worth the risk. You watch silently as coins slip between hands and bets are placed on which contender is judged to have the best chance. How come you're not here? Well, how come you're not there then? They'd complain I have an unfair advantage. And I don't want to make a mess of myself. He trolls quietly, shaking his head. Despite his words and your current feelings about the ship, you can't smother the spark of concern. Even if it's more self-preservation, you push closer through the crowd, finding surprisingly little resistance as most have wisely concluded it's best to keep their distance. By the time you break through, you're just in time to see Julian dancing that fine line between egging the crew on and trying his luck. He's already showing off, turning his back to the beast at the exact moment it lunges towards him. You pull Julian back just before those heavy talons swoosh through the air where his head used to be. Are you mad? He snaps angrily as you tumble over each other. What was that for? He hisses angrily, trying to shrug off the laughter from the experienced hands. Not losing an eye. He snarled back, expecting that he'd at least somewhat be grateful. Instead, he struggles back as he would touch him like a leper. Get off! Fuck's sake, think before you act. You literally want to be down the sickbay getting chewed out by Arthur for goofing around? I don't need you telling me what to do. He turns around at just the right time to watch another of the crew attempt the same move. He's not so lucky, and instead reaps the unceremonious reward of a slash through his clothes, and fortunately nothing more. A chorus of nervous laughter erupts around you, leaving Julian's attempt forgotten. Seems like you do. Julian stiffens for a moment, scratching his head, his shoulders. He glances back at the rest of the crew, who, having witnessed his moment of glory slip by, now cheer on the next contender without a second thought. It seems like they've entirely forgotten him. Sorry, he sighs. Thanks, I guess. Shame you won't have my back for much longer. Well, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. What's that supposed to mean? Why are you smiling? What the fuck? You know Arthur's shtick is all bullshit. You did fall asleep. Because I had nothing to do but work, but that's hardly the point. What I'm saying is, this really what you want? Just a minute ago you were willing to let the bird almost shred you to ribbons just to get one bit closer to the crew. They'll forget about you in the next instant. Doesn't feel so... Oh, what the fuck, I hit the mic. My bad, everyone. It doesn't feel so bad to point out that they were back on the next contender, barely even recognizing that Julian had failed to keep up. Do you even know what you're going to do in Morocco? Julian shoots back. I'll figure out when I get there. You return a dismissive shrug. Yeah, great plan. What do you expect? It's a port I've never been to before. More than that, it's a kingdom I've never been to. You want me to line out a 10-point plan of action? He frowns and shakes his head. No, but you don't even know what you're doing yourself. Then please don't try to lecture me on what I should or shouldn't do. First thing would probably be to try and figure out when the next ship heading north is going to pass by. Until then, I don't know. Arthur mentioned that it's a busy enough port and it should see a ship going that way within a month. By then, you'll probably be enjoying the sun of the southern hemisphere. What would you do if you were in my position? He shrugs for a moment, waving his hand in circles while he turns about thinking on the spot. A disappointed jeer ripples over the deck. Interrupting things before you can get an answer out of Julian, you both turn to catch a glimpse of the Osprey swooping away off the ship, settling on a chunk of float sand that, despite its size, offers sanctuary from the crew. With the Osprey gone, the rest of the crew filter back to their tasks, and it seems you two, being the only idle hands left, attract the most attention and the shortest straw. James, Samuel grunts, barely pausing to clamber towards the rigging for the mid-mast. Get down and work for the bilge. We'll have to take on plenty of water, so someone's got to give it a good work. May as well be you. He pauses for a moment, eyes flicking between you both. Actually, Julian, you go with him too. He'll probably need a hand. The memory of stale rancid seawater that's been able to trickle through the ship's decks, sloshing about and picking about all the smells and detritus you could about expect, is not a pleasant aroma. You accept it because that's what you were meant to be doing before the commotion, but roping Julian into it feels a bit of a low move. Really? You feel bolder to speak out given you won't be much about much longer. I get you might want to punish me, but Julian doesn't need to deal with that stink. Punish Julian? Since when do you view working on a ship as punishment? It has to get done, and it's easier to get done when it's shared. Besides, I've got nothing else for you to do up here right now. He gestures about the mostly clear deck. And the two of you means you won't end up completely knackered after working the pump for long. That's hardly reassuring. The main wolf rolls his eyes, climbing halfway up the rigging. Hey Julian, can I get in on that? I'm sorry? In on what? You know, whatever it is that pays you for complaining. You two must have gotten an amazing deal with how much you're doing that over just working the damn ship. Alright. Julian replies saltily, flicking his tail about and folding his arms. Come on. You grunt, gesturing for him to follow. It's a rotten deal, but better to have him around than not. Let's get this shit over with. Yeah, I guess so, man. I mean, what are we gonna do, honestly? We can't start going mutineer over here. What's the point? You follow Julian down with the bows of the ship, trying to memorize the scent of fresh open air, with the ship still hunkered down to ride out the storm. There's precious little airflow between the decks, and as you move through and further down, the smells get progressively worse. Every now and then, a particularly unpleasant smell punches out from the crowd. The acidic hint of vomit, or the foul, watery mix of salt water gone rotten, greets your senses. No wonder Wolf spends most of his time up on the deck. The smell by now must have driven him mad. The bilge pump itself is dark and dingy, a small room between the ship's sections filled with only a single lantern that flickered from behind a thick glass screen. It does little to illuminate the room and give it a sickly hue. The smell, unfortunately, is just as bad as you expect it to be. You can say that again, Julian. Fuck. You both take a moment to try and recover, covering your nose and mouth with your cold, wet shirt like you're breathing gas. It's a pungent aroma, that's for sure. I'd rather take my chances on the rigging any day. Julian replies with a dry heave, eventually steadying himself. It's not so bad if you breathe through your mouth. I'm fine, it's just, if I pass out, don't leave me alone here. Let's just get this over with, too. You push forward and grab the handle of the pump, taking a measured but deep breath through your mouth. Fuck, the smell really isn't any better. Regardless, but eventually it deadens your senses, at least enough to just have a block it out while you get into a rhythm working the bilge. You decide that the only salve is to try and forget your current surroundings entirely. So what would you do if you had free reign to do whatever? I already told you. That's dodging the question if I ever saw it, Julian. I don't want to sound insensitive. He shrugs, becoming still for a moment. Perhaps it's your surroundings or his misfortune getting sucked into this, but you've not really seen Julian like this before. He just seems despondent, yet also hopeless. Crushed between opposing ideas of who he should be with, without a say in the matter. It's okay, whatever you say, it's not going to change anything for me, is it? How should I know from the way you've been acting? You're not being yourself at all since that fuck up on Weather Watch, and I get like being salty that you did fuck up, but if you ask me, you're dodging a bullet. He sighs. If that's what Arthur's like when it's a minor screw-up, I don't want to see what he's like when there's a major screw-up. Yeah, I get with your father and all, not much of a choice to escape. Yeah, there I was thinking about maybe having a horse to myself all alone among the currents of the lonely ocean. Even his jokes are getting worse. Fuckable is the last thing that comes to mind when I think about Arthur. He shakes his head, flicking his tail as he takes a steady breath and keeps working the pump. But you're right, there's nothing fun about crazy. Perhaps it's the dark, oppressive feel of your shared surroundings, but in the creaking depths of the ship, you can't help but feel trapped. But you're actually a good sailor, I'm sure you'll be fine. What if I'm not, though? You try to shift him away from such thoughts. Cheer up, can't dwell on things that haven't happened yet. I hear from the rest of the crew that Morocco is not the worst port to come into. If you're unable to fulfill your queen desires, then I bet there's plenty of fine Arabian stallions to satisfy. You wink, snapping your fingers? I suppose I could go whoring my way through all the brothels you have to offer. And I suppose if I didn't have to come back, realistically, okay, I'd go to a few brothels, okay? Get out whatever sour stuff's in my system for my time on the ship and then try again. There's got to be some other reputable ships there. Maybe a few crisscrossing Mediterranean if I still needed to learn the ropes. The way I'm imagining it, you don't have a father trying to mold you into a Navy man. You add trying to steer him away from such a narrow view. Then I'll stay ashore longer and sample the exotic. How did you call it? Delights? You've been on the same pay as me. I've been taking more chances with the dice than you, and I'm quicker to get in on any bets as well. He smiles and shrugs his shoulders, basking in the opportunity to kinda say, I told you so about the Osprey earlier. Well, you should always look out for ways to make a little more on the side. But I don't know why I asked you. Of course you wouldn't give a reasonable answer. No? I thought it sounded perfectly reasonable. The very thought of having the delights of an entire foreign, exciting port to explore is something not to squander. At least he resists the jibe at your expense about it, perhaps just being wistful dreams. Shore leaves pretty much all everyone's really been talking about. But really, what else do you think a bunch of bored sailors would talk about? Well, it's for different reasons, you can't help but feel your spirits lifted further by Julian's excited demeanor. He's certainly looking forward to the prospect of shore leave. The chance to stretch his legs and cut loose away from the prying eyes of the officers. You can't help but think with perhaps a right nudge he might consider taking it a bit further. It's okay, I get it. Does sound like you're terribly excited for it. Shame all good things must come to an end, right? Oh, I'm hoping it'll be a long stopover. I've been trying to cajole some of the right folks that might hold some say in such matters. Julian nods, appearing rather pleased with himself. For one, I think that passenger might wish to spend some time exploring the local flora, which means more time in the fauna for us. But I don't think they will delay the ship's schedule for him. Who knows, it looks posh enough for them to maybe bend over backwards for him. I doubt it. Besides, he might also be in just as much of a hurry to get back on the sea and get all this wretched seafaring over with. Conrad's not given his official report on any repairs the ship might need. You resist the urge to make the obvious complaint about the pump. The fact that you're still both here speaks for itself. No guarantees though from those possibilities, right? Julian pauses, scratching his chin. Who knows? Nomax might refuse to step back aboard altogether after that storm. They most certainly won't wait for him. But I doubt it. He wouldn't have a set foot in this ship in the first place if he didn't need to get where he's going. Or he might continue south by foot. What an adventure that might be. Julian pauses from the work, looking off wistfully into the shadows as uninspiring as it was. The darkness here provided an empty canvas upon which he could paint brighter dreams. You can practically see him dreaming, his eyes distant as they swim through all various details. Nice wall, isn't it? Very pleasant. Is it the grain that does it for you or the signs of wear? The grain. There's this arc, it kinda looks like a little smile. A smile? If you're thinking about more cheerful adventures rather than being stuck on the ship, I don't blame ya. I guess there's plenty of proof of that this adventure isn't all it's cracked up to be. Yeah, well, all jokes aside, if I was to see the world, I wouldn't want to watch it sail on by. I'd want to take my time to actually, experience it and have enough time to enjoy the place. The music, food, and so on. So what if you decided to seize it? Come again? I mean, I'm just saying, it'd be oh, you cheeky devious motherfucker, James. I mean, I'm just saying, it'd be good to have an adventurous and optimistic soul like you by my side. You'd have helped me feel much better about it all. I hadn't even thought about the brothels until you mentioned it. Julian shakes his head, sighing deeply as if trying to shake off the idea. Look, James. He hesitates. Damn it, what the fuck am I gonna say to Julius right here? Julian comment. What am I saying? It's probably going to be boring as sin. Satyrs busy loading the ships, officers doing what they do best, making their lives miserable. I can try all I want, but it won't change the reality of things. He avoids her eyes. Maybe. So much for me making you feel better, huh? You laugh where it is you let your weight sink into the hand of the pump. Maybe I'll be too busy chasing meals out there to get bored, and before I know it, I'll be on another ship already. You can dream, right? Someone has to. What are your plans for the port? I don't know, I'll just take it as it comes. Inspiring. It's going to be strange with you gone. I'll do whatever I'm ordered to do during it, and after that, who knows? Can't do much with Wolf, can I? And you were the only other new deckhand. Well, you always have Sample, Conrad, Torres, and all the rest of the crew. I guess. Step aside, I'll take over for a moment. Wait, go back. Wait a minute, go back. What do we... The wood grain really looks like a smile. At least I think I see it. Over there next to that little hole, right? You know there's no point in trying to convince him, so instead you change the subject. Yeah, it's sideways. Muzzle on your side, then the nose and eyes on the right. Thankfully he goes along with it. But it looks like he's got a weird single tooth sticking out. You chuckled as your brain begins to paint more details on the dark wall. So do you when you smile. I'd be careful about talking trash to our friend Mr. Woody over there. Your lips slip down to cover your teeth just in case. He notices and playfully pushes your head down over the pump. Don't, it suits you. You're just trying to be nice, so I'll offer you to take a break. Did I plan on that? No, but if you're offering, I won't say no. Was I nice enough? You close your eyes and bring your paw up to rub your temples, trying to look like it's something that requires thoughtful consideration. Yes, you were. Step aside, I'll take over for a moment. You guide him off the pump and begin to settle into your own rhythm. He's happily surrendered the pump to you and sits down on the deck, catching his breath as your own becomes increasingly ragged. He fans himself some cool air as he watches you. Slowly but surely your arms start giving out under the strain. It's hard to breathe in the closed air, but you take it as a form of penance for everything, really. Eventually, Julian takes hold of the lever again, tapping your paw to make room. Come on, 5 more minutes and I reckon we should be done. He sighs. I don't want to see you drop. He takes a sharp breath. I can't carry you up the stairs to Rajia anyway. You don't look up from the task, but you can tell he's smirking away. Despite Julian's prediction, it takes far more than 5 minutes to clear enough bilge water to be able to call the job done. As the two of you alternate working the pump, your idle chat turns to solitary exchanges, then to a few occasional grunts, then to nothing but a silent work of muscles. Man, this is depressing. Holy shit. Is this the end of the game? Visual novel? Or is this the beginning of one? By the time you make your way back on the deck, talking is the last thing either of you have on your mind. A bed though, now that would be something. The fresh salty air hitting your face is as welcome as a lover's caress, even if accompanied by light rain. You hope he takes at least some of the stink of bilge water away. Julian takes a deep breath. I'm gonna yeah. You nod and watch him shuffle away to wherever he's heading to. Maybe just more fresh air or a change of clothes. He resisted the smell and fatigue up until the very end, a proper soldier. You head towards the port side, passing under shrouds dripping with water from rain that feels lighter than before. You started working the pump. The mast stands monolithically behind you. Satyrs hurry to their various tasks, but you need a minute. You lean on the gunwale, catching your breath. Your arms don't ache as much as you feared, but you know you'll be feeling the worst of it tomorrow. A part of your brain chides you for letting yourself be idle in plain view. Another feels the rain starting to lightly soak your fur. The rest doesn't care at all. You're just too tired. The rain's finally starting to let up. It's beginning to look almost pleasant with the gentle light breaking through the clouds at the horizon. You scan the deck for the solitary osprey, but can't make out its shape anywhere in sight. Maybe it had enough time to rest up and try to fly back to shore, daring the last few gusts of winds and splashes of water against a feather on its wings. Admiring your work. What the fuck? You turn around, there's no one here beside you. Great. Hearing voices. Might as well, why not? It's not like things can get any worse for you. At least you'd have an excuse for it all. Bloody hell, deaf as they say, huh? Who the fuck is this? You're startled by a figure dropping right in front of you from the shrouds above. It's a satyr you haven't gotten the chance to know yet. 2 more days and you wouldn't have been able to. You seem to remember him from around the ship. You think you saw him among the crowd betting on the osprey, but you've never exchanged a word before. Excuse me? I said admiring your work. That's what you're doing here. I don't... Yes, you do. You're the guy who was asleep on watch, eh? He steps forward. James, isn't it? Yeah, your name's gotten around lately. You have any idea what your little princess sleep could have cost us? It's sheer luck that we're still afloat. It's one thing to hear criticism from your superior, another hearing it from the people you got to know. But hearing it from a member of the crew you don't know somehow pierces deeper. Like the entire crew is talking to you. You feel tired. Your arms ache and they'll ache worse tomorrow. You stink of bilge water and sweat. You don't know how long it's going to be before you'll be able to do anything about any of it. You open your mouth to defend yourself but no words come out. You feel helpless, too exhausted for this shit right now. You know what? Let him... You sit there and take it. Nothing to say for yourself, huh? The sailor steps forward with his arms outstretched, clearly aiming to get a reaction out of you. What, you're conscious at last? Feeling responsible for what you did? There's anger in his words, but not as much vitriol as you'd expect. He's frustrated, but it's frustration coming from a place of fear, not malice. He's not aiming to hurt you, you think. He's venting. But he's still inching closer and closer. Why so silent? Practicing for your next watch already. You wince, that last one cut deeper than the rest. These men, they all put their safety in your hands. He's right on that. And there's... Your train of thought is interrupted by a low snarl. A sailor turns around as you both finally take notice of the shadow that's been standing behind him this whole time. James, your help is needed. A sailor sizes the wolf up with the two standing pretty equal in height. His help? For what? He hasn't exactly done anything worth writing home about. Besides, you are... Wolf just stares at him, his mouth shut, eyes sporting his usual impenetrable expression. The rain is reduced down to a trickle. The tiger sustains his gaze for a few more interminable seconds. After a heavy weighing of options, he decides to relent. It's not worth it. And you should keep that in mind, puppy. Whoa, you can't be saying to Wolf like that. This man is 36 years old, my man. He's pretty much like your grandfather at this point. At that time and age, you know, if you were in your like 40s, people would think you're a grandpa right now. You'd have like 100 children, I guess. Or not, either way. Wolf doesn't reply, he just stares daggers as the unknown sailor leaves, following him with his head until the man is safely below deck. At least you think that was him staring daggers. It's been almost 2 weeks of sailing the same crew, and his expression still looks, 2 weeks has passed. It still looks mostly the same to you. Not that it matters in any significant way. Soon you'll be ashore. Even if you did manage to make him open up, none of it should have made much of a difference. You feel a heavy weariness coming over you. This time it's not just physical. As you were immersed in thought, Wolf has made his way to the gunway right next to where you were hoping to get some rest just a few minutes ago. He's not leaning against it or gazing absent-mindedly at the water, though. He's staring right at you. He nods in acknowledgement of your patience, perhaps, or maybe something else. Thanks. Wolf shakes his head suddenly, and this time you can grasp his intention clearly. I didn't do it for you, he's saying. He's right. It's not worth it. It's your turn to shake your head. That's not what the sailor said. He didn't say it's not worth it. He said, I'm not worth it. Don't know if Wolf said that to protect you from your own thoughts or because he simply misheard the sailor. Wolf says nothing. He just stares. What he said about the crew. Was that true? Did they all hate me? You're asking me that. It's like, really, really, my sailor? You know me for 2 weeks. You think I'm chummy with the crew? I don't talk. I don't gossip. Whatever. I might ask the others too. You know. Some do. Those who are the cause of the crew being rushed to all hands on deck always draw ire. But they've all been through this stuff before. They experienced once at least. For someone trying so hard to avoid socializing, you sure have a read of what's going on. I'm a good listener. Are you though? It pays to keep your ear to the ground. How about that? So it does. You wonder if you ever had the right to call the Conway crew your crew. It feels more like you just got close to a few individuals rather than being part of a whole. The few that got close to you, you befriended, kind of, but at best you'd call that a circle of acquaintances, rather than a crew. Not that those thoughts matter much now. You made up your mind, no sense obsessing over missed chances and connections. Meanwhile, silence has fallen between the two of you as it did many times before. It's what he's comfortable with. One thing is amiss though. So why are you here? It's a ship. Where do you expect me to be? And I'd rather you don't start any further trouble. I prefer my days to be uneventful. But before you get any ideas, I was heading towards the stern. You two were in the way. Still, you didn't need to do that. Thank you. Wolf sniffs? You wonder if the smell of your previous task would be significantly harder for a canine nose to stomach. Save your breath, you look like you need all of it. And you still got 2 days of work before we go our separate ways. Cold, as usual, impenetrable. almost caustic. Only a scant few days left with him and you still have no idea how to take half the things he says. But it did come to you. He still didn't want you to be harmed, even if he tries to downplay it, and that must mean something, you think. Maybe. So this is it then. No way I can persuade you to join me. Stop trying, it won't change my mind. Of course, it does feel worth thinking about out loud at least. It may be worth trying, you think, but you're less and less sure of that. Is there anything that could make you change your mind? Anything at all? Hypothetically, of course, I'm not actually gonna do it. Wolf sighs, his answer comes much quicker than you expected. No. Well, you said you joined this ship to earn some money. What about? I said stop trying. I'm going to keep working on the ship, I'll take the money, and that's that. Why are you so insistent? What do you think you'd gain from it? Your ears perked with the attention. The question, hearing a question coming from him by itself is already feeling out of the ordinary, but it does leave you pondering. Why exactly? Why Wolf? There's other people you could try to persuade on board, sure, not many, but there are. Well, you know the superficial reason. He's new here, he's not tied in with others, and quite frankly, to you, it doesn't appear like he actually wants to be here. You were hoping you'd have a chance, but there's a deeper and at the same time more obvious reason. Oh no! Oh no! A wolf or no wolf? I think I'm scared. I thought I made up my mind. I thought that I'm just going to leave. Head held high, strong, being above everything that piece of shit can throw at me, but what am I going to do after that? I don't know what my options are, I'll be honest. I don't know the language. I might be able to find a ship to take me on. He said the harbor is busy enough to have a ship take me back within a month, but that feels like a game of chance. I'll be tossing the dice on my entire future. That's terrifying, Wolf. I need to do something before it's time. As much as I like games, that's far too dangerous a bet for me. That's why I don't want to do it alone. By now you know better than to wait for him to elaborate. I take it that is all you have to say. I'd say you got it right. You're expecting romanticism where there's none. What do you expect to happen when you can persuade someone to come ashore with you, that you just leave this ship hand in hand and become one happy family? The type of person you're looking for are few and far between, and I don't see how after not even 2 weeks you'd trust anyone on here to be that type of person. Your fear is real, yes. It should be. You're put onto the wild and you'll have to learn. I hope you will, but it'll be without me. For your own sake. Well, not everyone's completely cynical or self-interested. There are good and honorable people all over the world. Friends. Wolf opens his mouth but catches himself and closes it immediately after. You're not sure what else you could say. Instead, you stay silent. The wind and the waves provide the period at the end of your conversation. Pause. Alright, let's see. Let's see if this is gonna work. No fucking way this is gonna work. Come on, Wolf. I need you. We understand each other and I want you to come along. Wolf stays silent. He stays silent for a long time. Usually long even for him. It feels like almost a minute passes. The boat sways lazily, raindrops falling one after another. No fucking way that option worked. Finally, the canine speaks. I told you already. No. I think what you really want isn't me. Wolf leans in. He's uncomfortably close now. But someone who can take the burden off of your shoulder. Someone to dispel the fear. You just don't want to be alone. You already thought sailing was some romantic swashbuckling adventure. Like a story a passenger would read in a book, but you're no passenger here. And now you feel your dream dissolving between your fingers, and you insist, Sandra, stop barking! And now you feel your dream dissolving between your fingers, and you insist I should drop everything and come with you on your next great adventure. Then what? Keep protecting you like just now? Be the shield between you and the world? Your trusted nanny, ready to save you from whatever comes your way. The verbal assault catches you by surprise. You perceive anger in his words, and anger seemingly coming from a place of disappointment rather than grievous intent. You can't tell if that makes it more or less painful. You take a step back, but your retreat is cut short by a gunboat hitting you in the kidneys. The only space left behind you is taken by the gunwale you were resting on just a few minutes ago. Suddenly, the water sloshing around the hull below feels frightening close. Something in your expression hits Wolf. He stops, shutting his muzzle fast. The canine pinches between his eyes, taking a deep breath. You're naive, but you're not that stupid. I can tell that much by now. I told you, the ship, the crew, I just do it to get paid, and yet here you are asking me to drop everything and set off with you. Again. I don't care if it's because you need or want me to come along. No. My answer is no. I just meant to say, you're not listening. You never listen. You're green, I'm not going to fault you for that. I'd have said no regardless. I told you more times than I count. I'm not here for adventure, I'm here because of the work. Wolf shakes his head. Look, I'm not... Ah, bloody hell. I'm not heartless. I don't think you're a hopeless idiot. I think you're more desperate than you're willing to admit. A satyr's work is tough, but at this point, consider that you might not be cut out for it. Think about finding a passage home could be your best option. The wind and the waves provide the period at the end of your conversation. Shared silence, seemingly the defining trait of your friendship. Not quite the word you feel you can apply to your relationship with Wolf. If there's ever been a crack in his facade, it's so small you can't even tell it's there. But Wolf is still here, though, talking to you. Still, silence is what stands between the two of you now, just as it stood so many times before. This is it then, you think. The 2 days aren't over yet, but this is about as far as Wolf would push himself for goodbye. You chuckle. How appropriate that your last attempt at opening him up ends in the same silence he shared with you since the beginning. This time he's the one who breaks it first. We should go find Samuel, before anyone thinks we skipped watch. You nod, he's right. However things may have gone, you're still on a ship and you're still in a crew. The idea of putting your body through even more work after today has significant parts of it loudly complaining at you, but you decide that they'll have to deal with it. Just like you do. You're part of the crew. For now. For just a little longer. How long is this 2 days, my man? Saturday. Jesus. It's a bit... Day 13. 2 weeks? Something? What? I have no doubt he just wants to make my last days as miserable as he possibly can. You drag the back of her paw across her brow, smearing in oil before begrudgingly returning to scrub out the stains of food from the bowl. Wait, what did I say? Bowl? No, bowl. It only means that the stink of old grease clings even harder to your fur. Your knees already ache from crouching the hardboards. Every time you dip the sponge, a sour rot wafts or reefs. It's waft, right? Wafts from the bucket and mingles with the salt air until you're not sure which is worse. The only good thing about it is the cool salt water in the bucket you're using, no matter how dirty it is by now. You glance toward the brighter part of the deck where light spills through the cargo grate and other crewmates talk and laugh with their hands clean. Hardly doesn't matter that they have probably all done this before. They're not the ones scraping dried stew from other people's bowls. It's you. You're not the only one back here cleaning, are you though? Julian leans against the hull, still chewing in response between bites of his lunch. It's just typical landsman work. You're new at the bottom of the pole and so you get assigned the stuff nobody else wants to do. He lifts another wooden spoonful of lobscouse, pausing just long enough to finish his thought before eating. Easy for everyone else to pawn it off to you if you've got no status to say no. Wolf appears entirely unaffected by the exchange. He dutifully inspects the wooden spoon, turning it in the dim light to check for leftover grime. Today, the sunshine of this area has returned, but even with the hatches open, the corner you have been placed in still struggles to be lit thoroughly. Even the stiff breeze that drafts through the ship can't lift your mood. Someone needs to do it, nor should this be any worse than what you've done back home. Well, back home I didn't have someone barking orders just to watch me squirm. I agree with the gum. As a farmer's boy, you're hardly new to getting your hands dirty. You exhale sharply? I've had worse, yes. But it's a principle of being made to do it. Bilge and deck swabbing yesterday, now this. Next might be caulking the bilge scene. That's just part of that satyr's dream of yours. Funny how the old salt stores never mentioned this part, huh? You concede with but a sigh that they rarely did. The tales you heard always began with open sails cutting across azure waves, hammocks swaying under starlight, maybe a tavern brawl or two dangerous, but exciting. Not this. Not squatting in shadows, elbow deep in someone else's filth, with a stink of rotting food clinging to your whiskers. Reminds me of Treasure Island. What an amazing fucking film. I can't believe it bombed. But then again, you know, if it was released today, people would fucking bust their nut all over the freaking movie theater. Flick their beans. They're like, oh, this is the greatest. Oh man. Just one of the, I guess it's one of an example of like, if it was released in a different time, it would have boomed, you know, made money. Frustration boils over and the spoon you're washing becomes a victim of your outbursts as you slam into the grimy water. Why are you not helping? Julian chews, swallows, and answers, I'm eating. Eat faster then. I want to savor it. Bandel put in a lot of effort that I don't want to go to waste by scarfing it down like a pig. It's just lobscouse, or is it lobscouse? And I want to savor my fuck that, I don't even know how to pronounce that, man. Might be the only warm thing I get all day. Maybe if you would help us, you'd warm up too. Let him have his lunch. You snap your head towards Wolf. We're doing his work for him. Would it change anything about what you're doing if it helped right now? Your nostrils flare, frustration prickles up through your limbs as the two conspire against you. Thankfully you notice. Breathe in and out. Ah, no. But we'd be done more quickly with his help. And once we're done, we just get tasked with something else. You don't like that they're right or that you're forgetting the times you've arrived late to the work yourself. You set the spoon aside and pick up another bowl from a pile that feels no smaller than when you started. The one you grab has clearly been left to dry for far too long. Rather than scrub right away, you drop into the bucket, hoping a soak will loosen it up, then you reach for the next. My bad, just frustration's boiling over. Right, I mean it. And I appreciate it. You wonder if he truly does, but a faint smile forms on his lips. I'm done in a moment. It's not long before you hear the spoon scrape up the last remnants of Julian's food from the bowl. Julian lets out a whistle, then rises from the crate and circles behind you. The next thing you see are his arms that stretch over your shoulder, dangling his dishes just above your lap. You'd be mad at me if I dropped them in your bucket, right? You don't even put in the effort to look up at him. At the very least, I'd whack your arm. Only my arm? At the very least. There's a lot of room for escalation. He chuckles above your head. I won't then. I'm too pretty to die this young. Make some room though, geez. The way you two are claiming that space feels like you're wanting to plant a flag in it. You shift, making room as Julian settles between you and Wolf. Once he's finished cleaning his own cutlery, he taps the rim of the bucket with his fingers, scanning the pile with a sigh. Can you hand me something? And what might the fine gentleman desire? We have at our disposal an exquisite array of tools, cutlery, plates, and the like. Only the finest quality, I assure you. Does anything strike the gentleman's fancy? Whenever Julian commits to a role, he can so confidently slip into it. It can be surprisingly entertaining to watch. For a fleeting moment, he even looks like he's considering resting a hand on Wolf's shoulder like some overly familiar street vendor. You've encountered that type often enough. It reminds you of Mr. Franklin. He ran a small shop selling the fruit of his orchard back in your hometown, and he was every bit the overly familiar kind. You have no idea if Julian knows him, but his mannerisms echo the man's quite well. He'd probably thrive on a straight stage, perhaps in one of those plays or an opera even. Though Wolf actually enjoying such a performance is another matter entirely. Just hand me something, that's all I ask for. Very well then, a few bowls for the gent coming right up. Julian gathers a small stack of bowls left over from lunch and presents them to Wolf with playful flourish. A flourish, of course, that Wolf ignores entirely, taking the bowls without blinking an eye. Well, you've gotten pretty good at brushing him aside, you know. He didn't even complain or try to fight it. Just give you the plate. Wolf's eyes find you, just barely peeking from underneath his brows. I reign through fear. Hardly. You threaten, certainly, but never follow through. I'm no fool, Wolf. Debatable. I've gambled often enough to sniff out when someone's bluffing. I think it's more of a case of not wanting to get into trouble. Trust me, Julian, I sense that if he had the opportunity to escape your presence, he would. For the last time, I won't be leaving this ship. I haven't said anything, Wolf. But you were going to. I know that you somehow have gotten that stupid idea into your head and now you seem to think that maybe, just maybe, if you try hard enough. Spare the effort. But maybe if his claws snap through the air, silencing you before the thought leaves your lips. There's no maybe. I understand this is difficult for you, that the future is uncertain, that it frightens you. Of course it does, it would anyone. But I will not be leaving this ship. Not for you, not for anyone. I signed on for this work and I'll remain until they drag me off themselves. Julian shifts uneasily. Well, if you'd prefer, I could step away. Sounds like you two need to work through some... Wolf cuts him off without even sparing him a glance. There's nothing to work through. I'm just making it clear without wanting to leave even the shadow of a doubt that I will not be coming along. Wolf, it's not for myself but for you. So you can stop clinging to the illusion that I ever might. Your eyes are glued to him. You wait for him to relent, to take it back, but he doesn't. Despite what little hope you may have had. And perhaps you were a fool to ever think otherwise, thinking that he would ever consider coming along. What about Julian then? Nah, he won't. The steady drip 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 of water interrupts your thoughts as Julian hefts his bucket and stands up. This water is filthy. I'll fetch another. He moves past the benches on the deck, the bucket dragging at his arm. His tail sways with each step, nearly toppling a mug before he catches himself with a twitch of balance. You watch him vanish up the hatch, finding the sway of the ship and leaving you with the silence of Wolf. Your throat feels parched, and Julian's absence only sharpens the urgency of your situation. It really is now or never. You don't have time anymore. After today, you'll be alone. Wolf? He answers only with a long, heavy sigh. Well, I don't believe you when you say you want to stay here. getting yourself dirty with work like this, enduring Julian's constant nagging. No, I think despite everything you claim, you do want to leave. What the fuck? We really are trying to convince this man. Why? Convince Wolf. This is insane. Why are we trying to... Bullshit. And I can't blame you. Truth be told, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't look forward to some. This is from Julian. I haven't quite emotion, boy. I can put up with it for a while, but just like you, I need some silence now and then. A rare treasure in the ship, and with him always at our heels. Bullshit. Yeah, that's not gonna work, man. I tell you, there's an opportunity to do just that coming up. You just have to seize it. Only those bold enough to take a risk can ever claim the reward, Wolf. Wolf pinches the bridge of his snout in what almost looks like thoughtfulness, a rare expression for him, but the frown he hides behind his paw betrays that it is born from irritation rather than contemplation. A risk is just that, a risk. Does your so-called philosophy of the bold say anything about the possible consequences? Well, don't bother, I know it doesn't. I didn't sign on to gamble my life or to run off with the first fool who asks for the pleasure. You open your muzzle to argue further, but he cuts in before you can utter a word. We're finished with this. He points at the bucket sitting in front of you. Eyes down, scrub, understood? Yes, sir. Oh my god, it's Sunday. Oh, it's Morocco. Is that the end? Is there multiple endings to this? I want to know. Do we get Wolf? Is that... Morocco, the port of Mogador, is agonizingly close. The city's walls are straight, imposing, and precise, exactly like you've always imagined a castle might look. The Conway is near enough for her to see each wave breaking against the cliffs, and your anxiety is growing increasingly difficult to manage. A sight you would have otherwise enjoyed now just ties your stomach into a knot. You're not the only one waiting. Arthur and two sailors took the jolly boat ashore to negotiate your entry to the port. You don't know how long that usually takes, but it feels like an eternity. For now, the ship is all but motionless, rocking gently at anchor. There is, as always, the usual work required to keep the Conway, well, ship-shape. Though by now you're being excluded from almost everything, more passenger than sailor. But even as a passenger, you can take part in the dealings of a sailing ship, ship's most precious commodities. Rumor and speculation. You've docked before, right? What? Of course, I wasn't born on the Conway. Well, I know, I just... If you're going to ask a question, at least ask it. I was just wondering if this is usual, this waiting. I don't know about Morocco. You think it's different? I suppose I don't know means something different than I always thought it did. Fine. I'm just eager to see what the city is like. You're not? A harbor, buildings, people. A whole new group of them for you to ignore even. Wolf's thin, dark smile is one you're all too familiar with. By at least he's not glaring at you. It's useful to stay in practice. Well, you might find something to enjoy, you know, when we get there. If we get there. You can sate your curiosity soon enough. That's the jolly boat, isn't it? So it is, and as it comes closer, you can see that the fourth figure has joined the sailors from the Conway. Samuel is already making his way over to the davits, which the crew are swinging out in preparation. You decide to see what's going on, even if you can already guess it'll mean being asked to help. Wolf shrugs, watching you go without following. Before long, you hear Arthur ordering the jolly boat hoisted back aboard, and one of the crew motions towards the ropes. Make yourself useful and help grab the falls, why don't you? The demand is directed at the Wolf, who probably makes his way over to the right davit to help three other sailors. Samuel directs them with his paws, keeping the two teams hauling the same speed lest the boat tips over. Should I help? Samuel perks up from his task and returns a quick shake of the head before elaborating. I'm sorry, orders, James. You understand and don't want Samuel to go against them, just for your sake, though it stings no less to hear it. Does look like hard work, but you've done worse already. You lean over to get a better vantage point to see the newcomer. He's a cheetah, dressed in light, flowing robes. You imagine he must not be a sailor, even in a strange new land like Morocco. Those kind of loose-fitting clothes are just asking to be caught up in a block or blown into his face under a stiff wind. A simple merchant? A government official? Nobility, perhaps. Mr. O'Connor. Arthur steps aboard first. After Wolf has secured the falls and the jolly boat is stable, the main wolf comes to attention. Reflexively, so do you. After all, what if the cheetah is a Moroccan prince? You don't want to leave a bad first impression in what will be your new temporary home. Yes, sir? His clothing presents no hindrance when the cheetah makes his graceful way over the gunwale. Arthur gestures towards him in introduction. Alright, Abu al-Barakat is our pilot. I've assured him we're in perfect health and don't need to be quarantined. Quarantines around here, are they expecting the plague? But, now that's true, yes, we're all healthy here. Indeed. Now that means we can weigh anchor and head for a berth at once. There's a complication. Sir, normally we'd pass north of Mogador Island to enter the port, but RT believes we should sail around the island and approach from the south. The wind today not as good, maybe tomorrow, but we've got cargo waiting to be loaded. And as we say, time is golden. The charts we acquired before leaving show the southern span to be rocky and shallow enough to walk across at low tide. And I don't know about you, but in my calculations, a grounded ship is the largest pile of coins sinking to the depths of the ocean. Need not fear it, sir. Before, yes, but not now, even for you. You'll have 1 foot, 2, perhaps. Alright tells us that the shoals have been dredged, the channel is narrow, and all the same, I'm convinced we can manage. Yes, sir. No doubt, Mr. Hudson. You trust your crew? A confident smile spreads across Arthur's face. They're the best I've had the pleasure of sharing the deck with. Then is no problem. They get you in safe. Keep steady, no rush, pay attention. You heard the man. I need you to move smartly, but I know you get nothing less from you, Mr. O'Connor. As if I was your right arm, sir. Good lad. Alright, this way, please, to the helm. Once he's gone, Samuel summons the crew around him with an expansive wave of his long arm. Listen up, we're going to weigh anchor and round that fucking island there. That rocky, unfamiliar island, do you follow me? Now the sound comes from the crowd, just a uniform nod. Good. You do exactly as I say, exactly as I say it. I won't even threaten the lash. The main wolf favors the sailors with a fang grin. You feel the urge to ask again, you want to help. Want to be part of it all and round the ship to its destination. But once again, you're just brushed aside to be a mere observer. Because if you mess this up and reground, it's a long swim back. And if it's you who caused the grounding, then you better be able to swim for 2, as I sure shit will make you drag me all the way. Now we're on a close reach and I expect Arthur will be wanting to keep most of the sails furled. So we're going to divide up and mind the ones we are using. Stay focused. Now then, Wolf, I want to take the spanker, you and pick someone. Wolf's muzzle works wordlessly as he considers his options. Finally, with a light shake of his head, he points to Julian. Come on then. Me? You want me to help you? Don't make me regret my words. Aye, sir. You follow the two to the stern. It's only a minute or so before Samuel's voice carries back to you. Wolf, sheet in the spanker. Wolf takes the lead and Julian follows suit, taking hold of the rope and pulling it as taut as he can. You look up into the sail. The wind is stiffer than you'd expected, and it's noticeably fighting their efforts. Wolf stops to secure the rope to its cleat, and Julian braces himself with all his might. But it's still luffing. Should I help? No need. You got this. Just a bit. You saw his claws dig into the planks as he leans into the pool with his full weight again. Their effort finally pays off and the sails fills out nicely. Looks like you'll be busy the entire way. With her bow... Wait, what the fuck? No, with her bow pointed against the wind, Conway's main sails are useless. Her course relies on the fore and aft sails and the skill of the crew steering her. It could be worse. Could it? I'm certainly not envious of how you two will feel tomorrow. Well, for one, we're not rowing. You are not rowing. I doubt they would even let me touch an oar, so it's all the same to me. They just want to avoid the disgruntled sailor causing damage or endangering the crew, which is ridiculous. I don't hate you all just because of what happened, and the last thing I want is to put you in danger. Well, but you don't know that. The Conway makes its way south. The island of Mogador drifts inexorably off the ship's port side. There isn't much activity on it. Indeed, you're not sure it's inhabited at all. You can see the ruins of a few buildings, either deliberately dismantled or simply worn down by centuries of use and weather. You wonder how old your own village was. You never really thought about it before. It was timeless in its own way, although none of the buildings had anything like the same kind of ancient imposing character as these ruins. That kind of adventure is worth a bit of soreness. A flapping sound, steadily growing louder, summons their thoughts away from that conclusion. It's drawn Wolf's attention too. It's luffing again. We need to adjust the sheet. You should, like a proper tar by now. Oh wait, what the fuck? You sound like a proper tar by now. I've just been paying attention. The spanker is no longer filled out. The edges of the sail are beginning to flutter and snap. Julian steps over, takes a deep breath, and takes a hold of the sheet. Working together, the two hold the sail taut. Even just watching them, it's easy to see how grueling of a process it is as the ship slowly changes course. I'd almost rather be rowing. No, you wouldn't. You know me too well. I wouldn't. Hey! Conrad, who has been keeping an eye on the proceeding, is now making his way towards you. Get ready to haul in that sail. Haul it or sheet it out. Brail it up, we're going to where? What? A bark call from Samuel preempts an explanation. Wolf, you two stand by to hold in this banker. Got it. Wolf shouts back, although he doesn't seem to know what's going on any more than you do. A moment later, Arthur's voice rings out. Helm! Hard a starboard! Now, Wolf! Conrad watches them haul away for a few seconds before the lynx grunts and joins in, grabbing hold of the stout rope himself. With three of them on the task, it goes relatively smoothly. Hard over, aye, sir. By the time you hear that acknowledgement, the sail has mostly been furled. Make me take a bloody line, eh? He sort of volunteered. We're wearing ship, crossing the direction of the wind. Sail snaps from this way, that way. He pantomimes that with a crisp flick of his paw. Wind like this? Well, they ain't gonna make me clean you off the deck, but Sam be right pissed if I bollocks up this new landsman. And your thick skulls might put a hole in something. Then I'd be busy patching us up instead of enjoying mugged. However the hell you say it again. Morocco. Okay, sure enough, you can feel the wind change direction as the Conway turns to port, rounding the island and coming about on a northerly tack. Keep the spanker furled. Wolf, Julian, get your asses forward. We might need you. Connor returns to his post while Julian and Wolf tie off the halyards, after which you make your way over to where the rest of the crew is working the stay sails and jibs. Albeit more calmly now that the turn is finished. Mogador, the city, lies directly ahead. The wind has the ship's sails filled out, although now that you're in the lee of the island, it's gentler, steady breeze. The lee side of the island is studded with ramparts, complete with what you're certain must be cannons. There are no soldiers, but it only adds to the exciting feeling that you're truly entering someplace new and different. Your fellow crew seems to think so too. There's a buzz of anticipation, their attention torn between the lines and taking in the activity of a bustling harbor town. Bit fast, must be 5 or 6 knots now. Pearson must have been manning one of the staysail's motors, looking over the side of the water running past. He raises his voice. You planning to beach her, Sam? We're fine, Paris. Get ready to reef the stays. Belay that now till Mr. Hudson says otherwise. The jackal glowers, staring pointedly at the water as if he can already sense an impending catastrophe. All you hear from Arthur is a few corrections to the helm, keeping you in the shipping channel. The order to haul this in the sails comes as you leave the lee of the island and the Conway turns back into the wind. The ship loses speed remarkably quickly, at that point coasting towards an open space that must be the berth you've been assigned. Now then, who's got good aim? Not going to let us see you do it? Just want to give someone else a try. Besides, my arm's tired. Wolf takes a lump of metal that Samuel hands him without protest as the Conway's forward movement slows. Sam leans forward with anticipation. Now give you a shilling if you hit one of them boys who's waiting on the pier. Just aim for the head? Sure. I'll hold you to it. Wolf tosses the projectile and you see that it's been tied to a length of lightweight hemp rope. It comes remarkably close to one of the men on the dock, but he steps back at the last moment. He simply breathes out a sharp exhale to manifest his disappointment. There goes my drinking money. Next time. Another sailor steps forward, hooking a stouter rope into the line and letting gravity carry to the pier. When that rope is secured too, Sam looks over to the capstan. Good, then haul away, you too, Wolf. Once the slack is taken up, it requires the effort of every sailor who can man the bars, but the capstan turns slowly, winding the rope back into its drum. Very slowly. Ease off. Ease off. A moment later, Arthur shouts the same thing. Ease off, Samuel. See? 5 seconds of silence follow and then 10. And then you feel a gentle thump. Sam perks his ears, leaning up and looking over the side of the ship. Well, not bad at all now. I knew some of you were sailors. He shoots perhaps a look which the jackal returns frostily. Didn't beat her at all, so I didn't. Other lines are now being tossed overboard for the men on the docks to make fast. You step back and take a deep breath. Mogador. You're really feeling grain after inevitable grain of sand running through the hourglass now. Would they dismiss you from this ship immediately, or perhaps they just expect you to take that step and leave on your own? An opportunity to save a sailor's pride, perhaps. No matter how, at the very least, it'll happen in a spectacular-looking place. Even if that is some cold comfort. It is unmistakably thrillingly different. The buildings, even the ones along the harbor, are made of some kind of stone. White and clean and straight walled. You seem to glow. Where is Morocco? Is it that somewhere in Africa? Am I high? I'll check that in next episode. Dreamlike, at the what the fuck? They seem to glow in the midday sun. Later you will think of marble-hulled places. At the moment their stark lines and radiant color turn your imagination to something more ethereal and dreamlike. A city made of bone or sugarloaf. For the first time in a while you even feel excited? No. Not quite. But the idea that this is what you'll call your new home, even if temporarily, brings with it a certain allure. Perhaps your fears were overblown. In just a short while, the ground beneath your paws will no longer be moving. There will be fresh food. You can fall asleep to something other than exhaustion and the sound of the rigging. For the first time in 2 weeks, you can find yourself more than a stone's throw from the nearest other person if you want. Speaking of companionship, if you don't want to face this alone, you'll need to find someone soon. Wolf or Julian? You can't quite get a solid grasp on Julian's view on the idea. Occasionally he appears to be open for it, other times not at all. But really, what other options are there? Sam's never coming? You don't need to be a genius to know that. Or Gia? No, she hardly knows ya. Pivs? Nah. If anyone on the ship might agree to come along, it's Julian. Are you insane? No, we're still pushing this. Living with. We're absolutely still pushing this. This is insane. We'll try to ask Wolf one more time. This is the guy that we've been chumming up with, not Julian. We look around for the black canine, but as usual, Wolf has an uncanny ability to disappear into thin air. But then again, he's very predictable when it comes to choosing the spots he retreats to. Somewhere below deck, you think, while descending to the ship, the world taking a moment for it to actually see in the dark again. You pass along some of the spots where the hammocks would be hung up in the evening, but no Wolf yet. Where might he be? To find him, you have to think like Wolf. Become Wolf. Where would you go right now if you were him? With everyone getting ready to leave up top, he must no doubt be somewhere under deck, and whichever is the furthest, you suddenly stop in your tracks. Never mind, he's just sitting right there at one of the tables looking out to sea through the open porthole. Hey! He tries to ignore you, but can't hide the brief flick of his ear. How's the view? Quiet and pleasant until just now. Well, don't be like that, Wolf. We might not see each other again. At least you can do is be nice to me, you know. Have I told you to leave already? Not yet. Been thinking they might wait to give me the opportunity to leave on my own accord to preserve my pride or something. And let me guess, you didn't yet because you want to try to convince me to come with you. No? Well, not this again. I just wanted... You really can't take a hint, can you? I just wanted to talk, then talk to someone else. He doesn't look at you, instead he's fixed on the small circle of daylight spilling through the porthole. I thought maybe we could... You thought wrong. You don't have to be like this, you know. Like what? Being so cold, like you don't care. Whether I care doesn't matter. What should matter to you is that you stop wasting your time here. You're not even going to say goodbye? What would that change? It would at least be nice to hear from you. Goodbye, then. I wish you luck with everything that you're facing. Wolf, you really don't want to come? Enough. There's no anger in his words, but he still lands firmly as the door that has been slammed shut. He turns his back on you again, tail flicking once before going still. This is awkward, man. For a while you just stand there unsure what to say to perhaps have him consider leaving with you, but his silence makes it clear there's nothing left to reach for. I guess that is goodbye then, Wolf. I wish you would have come along, see the kingdom together, figure out a way back. Or perhaps not. But I understand. It just was a pleasant dream. It doesn't turn to face you. Goodbye. Well, I wish you luck in your future as well, and happiness. Whatever. Your voice cracks a little as the weight of your words finally settles. I really do. What? That's the end? The game is still in active development? No fucking way. Okay then, might as well load with Julian then. You can scan the deck. Now, would he even say yes? I doubt it. Eventually, a flick of... I'm pretty sure he's gonna say no as well. A flick of a tail reveals him and you make your way over to the bow of the ship where he watches out across the harbor. You reach out and lay your paws on his shoulder, giving them a playful squeeze. He tries to squirm his way out of it before turning around. Hey, Morocco, eh? Just gives a vaguely affirmative tone in response. Not how I imagined it to look, if I'm honest. Neither did I. Wish I could appreciate it under better circumstances, if I'm honest. As do I. I guess I should say goodbye then, in case we won't see us anymore. Silence stretches between you two and you fear to undo it. I've been thinking, James. Your ears flicker to attention. Thinking about what? About going with you. It sounds simple, doesn't it? Just walk off and never come back. Well, it could be. It could mean no more orders, no more being told who you're supposed to be. Nor more doing what my father wants or what Mr. Hudson wants or what anyone else thinks I should be doing. He grips the railing firmly enough that you can see his knuckles widening. He's not gonna do it. I told you. I used to dream about that, packing a bag and disappearing before sunrise. Then why not now? This could be your chance. Because it's just not that easy. Leave and then what? Starve? The word doesn't have much use for me, and And all I'll become is a disappointment he always says I'll become. Just another stain on someone's boots. He lets out a quiet, humorless laugh. Every time I think about leaving, I hear his voice in the back of my head. Not even words, but just the presence of it. And if you come with me, then nothing of that matters anymore, I guess. He leans on the railing again, watching the water roll beneath the ship. Once again, there's a long moment where neither of you speaks. Julian, you should go. You should too. The world is waiting for you just as it is for me. He gives a faint, uncertain smile. You always make it sound easier than it is. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Then promise me something. What's that? When you get wherever you're going, just think of me. Perhaps eventually I'll be able to follow suit. No, because you'll be with me when we reach that place. You reach for his arm and pull him a little closer. I don't have to think about it, you just have to take the first step with me. Just come, right now. I'm betting money right now, ladies and gentlemen. Is the no. Is the no. It's definitely a no. James, but you realize you're holding on tighter than you meant to. That dream of packing your belongings, it can come true right now, Julian. You don't even have to want it the way I do. You just have to dare to try and the rest will follow. Trust me. James, I shouldn't. He straightens, taking a long breath of the midday air, and the sunlight almost appears to be washing him pale. I think it's best if I leave you and head back down. He swallows harder than usual. Terrible at saying goodbye, especially to friends, James. Julian, please. No, you son of a bitch, no, Max. I need more. What is this bullshit chicanery? Come on, man. That was this is like a 6-episode freaking tease. What the hell? For those who want to check this out, it's on itch.io. I'm pretty sure I can link this game. Yeah, definitely. I'm seeing everyone in a different visual novel. Wow. Comment down below for those who are watching, would you think, who would you want to be with? Wolf or Julian? I guess a spontaneous adventure would be with Julian. Like, both of you don't know nothing. It would be going in the dark. With Wolf, you have like an older person, more experience to help you, but I don't know, man. Either way, see ya. Good luck in whatever you're doing. Subscribe, like, comment down below. Bye!